Yeah, dude, I agree with you, Illusion of Choice. It was an unhinged weekend. I think I only went on one live. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, maybe another one, but I went on a live last night that was a treat. Let's just call it a treat. I'll be releasing a video later today challenging MAGAs for our next debate. Hopefully it goes better than the last one. Actually, I really enjoyed the most enjoyable thing. Felice,
hi.
Let's try it. Say a word.
Hi.
Nope.
Almost. So close, but no cigar.
One of these days. Let's see now. Oh, beautiful. I can hear it now. Beautiful. I've thought about turning my volume all the way up and speaking like this, just so that the MAGA people here feel at home. What do you think about that?
What is that? You mean because they yell into their microphones? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, certain people maybe turn their microphones all the fucking way up so that they can yell. This mic is great, by the way. This is a different mic than I used to have.
Whatever it takes to try to talk over us. We're hard people to talk over. I will give them that. You need like extra volume to even try it.
I don't remember who it was. The live I went in last night, there was this person they're fine, but they had been
person.
I don't remember their name. If anybody else was there, it is Turn Up. That's who it was. Turn Up was on TikTok the whole day. Every couple hours, I would check in just see if there was anything interesting being talked about. And she was on there all day, just screaming. Her voice is incredible. I can't believe it lasted that long. But by the end of it, I had a really good time just doing this, and I can just talk like this with this mic, just at a low voice, and it goes over everybody. So it's a good mic.
So you got in a fight last night? Is that what this is about?
I was. I'll be honest. I was just being childish. That's all that really happened. I was talking. Remember SK?
No,
SK
is that
came
bad?
up. SK talked to us. I think it might have been a night live. Really
the
nice.
name sounds
MAGA.
Familiar.
Her husband was there. Then he went to sleep.
Yeah.
It was like her first time.
Yeah, I do remember.
I like SK. I think she's really nice.
Well, anyone who's a decent person is cool.
I agree. And so I was talking to her, but Turn Up didn't want any of that. And so then I just got petulant and just talked over her while she talked over me. So it was. I'm sure nobody listening to it enjoyed what was happening, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, is Chelsea here?
Chelsea, are you here? Yeah, there you go. I'll invite her up. Look, some of you know about something that happened yesterday with David. I want to be clear. David is forever banned from this live, as well as Guerrilla Radio. There are some people that want to talk about it. We want to address it just quickly and then move on. Like, David and Guerrilla aren't worth our time. They're not worth our peace. But there are people who want to discuss it, and there are things that need to be said. I missed the whole conversation.
Who are people? Are you talking about me and Chelsea? Because I don't really want to talk about it.
Yeah, I meant Chelsea. Yeah, sorry.
I'm not going to be discussing it with anyone else.
What I really meant is, there's Chelsea, but then there's also in the Discord. So we just wanted to address it one time and then not address it anymore.
I never want to address it again. I literally screamed till 2 a.m.
Yeah, you just don't. Yeah, don't give it your energy. But listen, I'm just going to say some things and then Chelsea, whatever you want to say. But this is probably, I was not going to address this for a couple reasons. I've thought a long time about this. If anyone is curious, if I know that David has been going around the internet saying that I am trans, this has been going on for months and months and months, and I've known the whole time. The only reason, and if anyone's curious, yes, I am 100% born a woman. I do think probably being a Division I athlete, maybe that intimidates David. There's a lot of things about me that can be intimidating to David. I'm not exactly sure what it is. I have been nothing but kind to David. The sad part about this whole thing is I actually do really care about David. Even right now I do. Which is really sad. So it's interesting that he's chosen to go after me. But again, so I just thank you for people that care about me or are sending me messages, trying to sort of alert me to this. But I have known the entire time what David is doing. But I didn't address it for a couple reasons. Number one, there is nothing wrong with being trans. Like, if I was a trans woman, I'd probably be much better looking. Like, I would do my makeup much better. Like 100%.
Take a little more time.
Yes. Like, I would be, like, beat to the gods. I'd be snatched. I would look so much better than I do now. So, like, but that's why I didn't want to address it. Like, I have no desire to ever disassociate myself from the trans community. Like, it's not, there's nothing wrong with being trans. There's nothing wrong with people thinking I'm trans. I have no problem with any of this. I happen to be born a woman, but in the patriarchy, that, I guess that's some, like, this all comes from deep insecurity about their sexuality, insecurity about their manhood. Like, I've said this many times on TikTok, because I, particularly, like, when I started making content, I realized that, like, the insults that you get are not insults that hurt me. Like, what are people doing? It's actually insults that hurt them, things they fear, their own insecurities they project onto me. Like, none of this bothers me at all. Like, David saying I'm trans, it doesn't happen to be true, but it's not a negative thing. If someone is mistaking me for a trans woman, that probably means I look good, which I know is not true. So I'm sorry, trans women. Like, but yeah, like, that is why I have never, like, called this out or addressed it, because I'm not ashamed to be associated with the trans community in any way. And I don't think that anyone else ever should. But, like, I just want to address, not to make David feel like shit, but, like, just to address, like, the reality of the situation. Like, David is putting a picture of me up. Like, some of you, I've talked a little bit about my past. I know I'm kind of, like, mysterious, but, like, 3.5 years ago, I died, like, several times, like, coded, dead, was in the hospital for months. Like, if I showed a picture, you guys would not recognize me. Like, I would say I was emaciated yet, like, bloated. Like, I literally looked like a dead body 3.5 years ago. Like, I couldn't walk, my muscles atrophied to nothing. Like, things happened, like, patches of my hair fell out, all sorts of things. So what I realized from that experience was I do not give a fuck about how I look. Like, at all. Like, I have not paid, since that time in the hospital, I have not paid for, like, a $10 haircut. I have not, like, had my eyebrows waxed. I have not, like, anything that I used to care about, like, that the patriarchy used to tell me, like, you need to look this way. I just don't give a fuck, because I already died once. Like, and I realize now that all of our looks are going away. Like, you could waste all your time, like, attacking people's looks or worrying about your own looks. We're all going to end up looking like shit. It already happened to me once. Like, it's coming for all of us. Like, give up caring about your looks. You can stop caring now, or you can wait until you're forced to do it. But trust me, it is coming for all of us. So, yeah, like, when David's putting up a picture of me, I just want everyone to know, like, periodically what happened to me, like, so many things happened to me. My brain and nervous system attacked my body. Like, every organ in my body was being attacked. One was my lungs. So periodically, like, also, like, my immunity, like, I had no immune system. During COVID, I was in the hospital and had, like, no immune system. So what happens to me is, if I got pneumonia, one of the ways I almost died in the hospital was I developed pneumonia and had no immune system. So I occasionally, if I get sick, if anything happens to my lungs, I have to be on extreme amounts of lung steroids, right? So David is putting up a picture questioning whether or not I'm trans, which in itself is sad and pathetic. And again, thank you for the compliment. I have no problem with being associated of the trans community. But what I am on is lung steroids, neurological medication, all sorts of things that make you, like, bloated and look horrible. In addition, like, he's putting up a picture, like, during that period of time, like, patches of my hair, like, wouldn't grow in, like, my, like, eyebrows even fell out. And David is basically mocking someone who's recovering from death and holding up pictures and speculating about whether or not I'm trans. And I'm saying this because I want people to fully understand the reality of what David is doing to me, like, and how horrific it truly is. Like, that. And again, the most important thing I want from this is to understand that, like, I have no problem with people thinking I'm trans, and no one should. But when David puts up pictures of me, of Chelsea, and says things like, this is a trans woman, you are in conservative lives. And trust me, I've talked a little bit about, like, since I started doing lives with Jay, the amount of threats I get. And the number one threat, like, and things I get threats for is like having a rainbow in my profile. I'm pansexual. Now, sure, like, I'm attracted to all people, just to be clear about my sexuality. Because again, David is bringing my sexuality into question, which is very dangerous.
David did think that you being pansexual meant you were attracted to pans. And so I think that's part of the confusion too. He thought you were attracted to cookware.
About a lot of things. Like, David's very confused. But anyways, like, I would say I'm pretty much attracted, like, I consider myself a sapiosexual. Like, I'm attracted to people's minds. Like, the last thing I think about when I'm attracted to another human being is their genitals. Like, that is the dead last issue for me. So, like,
what about their amount of cardboard cutouts?
Oh, Jay,
sorry.
Thank you. Just let me get through this without crying. No, I appreciate the humor. It's good comic relief, because we need it in here, because David has made a whole problem. So yeah, like David bringing my sexuality into question, having pictures of me up, and again, pictures when I'm on medication because I was dying, and saying, and speculating whether or not I'm a man or a woman, puts me in danger. This is exactly what they do on libs of TikTok to the trans community. They're swatted. They are in, like, what's going on in Oklahoma, in some cases unalived in bathrooms. Like, this is the reality of the danger that David is putting people in. Like, I just want to make that clear. But I have been torn about whether or not to address it. Number one, because, like I said, once you die, you just no longer care. I do not care what David is up to. But when I have, since I started doing lives with Jay, the amount of threats I get is insane. The number one thing they're about is me having a rainbow in my profile. And David has for months encouraged that and increased the amount of hate and threats that I'm getting on this app and off this app. And, like, that needs to be said out loud and addressed. Okay, so yeah, I'm sure I have a little more to say, but that's like the general thing I wanted to get across. Chelsea, anything?
Just real quick to add just one thing to what Felice says. Like, Felice makes content every day. I make content sometimes. And there are often, like, I think my biggest video outside of TikTok, Felice's reach is much bigger out on TikTok, but outside of TikTok, on our YouTube channel and our Instagram, we'll post stuff. If you took a video, like, I was looking at one this morning, there's a video that has 25,000 views. Felice has a video that has 25,000 views. On my video, where it's just my face talking about things, you see people in there talking about, like, Trump 2024, or, oh my God, this guy's an idiot. Oh, libs are so dumb. Get out of your mom's basement, shit like that. If you go to Felice's video, you will see, no joke, 30 to 50 times the comments, and 80% of them are directly attacking her looks, the fact that she's a woman, the fact that there's a rainbow. Every single one is a vile, or not every single one, out of those ones, like the 70 to 80% of the views are vile personal attacks. I was unaware that of the difference between how men and women were treated, even hearing story after story after story from women saying, like, this is how we're treated. Because when you're not in somebody's shoes, it's easy to just be like, okay, well, we all get picked on, but we've got to toughen up. I'm here to tell you, like, the amount of times I have been on our YouTube or our Instagram, which we tell, I try and tell Felice all the time, I don't even know if she goes there. I'm like, don't fucking go there. Don't go to our YouTube. Don't go to our Instagram. Don't look at it, because it's horrific. But, like, the amount of times I get up from my computer and walk in and hug and kiss my daughter out of just sheer sadness that there are this many men out there who think that this type of behavior is okay. Like, again, I look like shit, and I have been healthy my whole life. I look like this. I essentially wear pajamas every day. Nobody comes after my looks ever. They come after my ideas, which is fair, right? Like I talk about politics, that's fair, but the amount of abuse that Felice gets and then shows up every day, I promise every man in this room would not be able to handle it. There are days I don't want to work because Felice is getting picked on so much. Do you know how fucking fragile that is of me? Like Felice shows up to work and I'm like, I don't know if I can be here today because Felice is getting picked on and she fucking shows up. Like I can't speak from the experience of a woman. All I can speak to is what our social media looks like and the dichotomy between how I'm treated and how Felice is treated. Keep in mind, Felice and Chelsea have been extremely nice to David and Gorilla. When they show up in here, I tell them to shut the fuck up. I tell them they're stupid. I mock them relentlessly. Did David and Gorilla host lives about me? Absolutely not. But two people who have been incredibly kind to them, given them hours and hours and hours of a platform without cutting them off and calling them stupid like I do, that's who gets the attack. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh,
Chelsea.
yeah. Let me say something really quick before you go, Chelsea, because I just want to explain the situation with the other situation that's going on here is Dave is just, again, another lie from months ago. So I just want to clarify, like, when the Georgia indictment came out, some of you may remember, right, the waves of lies that David tells. But one of his things was to say that Harrison Floyd was a victim. And what I said was, David, and we explained this in several lives and have been back and forth about it. I said, Harrison Floyd is not a victim. As a matter of fact, he's been indicted as a criminal, and his victim in this case, because I've encouraged David to read the Georgia indictment. He never has. I said, there is a victim, and that is Ruby Freeman, and the other victim is her child that he has been harassing. That is what I said. And David knows this. I have given him ample opportunities in live to continue spreading lies about me. I don't address it anymore because I've already addressed it. Like, there's no reason to address it. Harrison Floyd is not a victim in the Georgia case. He's just simply not. His victim is Ruby Freeman. Say her name and say her daughter's name, Shay Moss. Those are the victims who have been victimized. And I will say that till the end of time. So that is where all of this has stemmed from. And from that, David has decided to start calling me trans or whatever. But none of this is based in any truth. This has all been addressed months and months ago. And whenever David needs attention or clout, he uses me because I have hundreds of thousands of followers. And he thinks that's the best way to get it. This is the last time you will ever hear me mentioning this person's name ever again.
I fully agree with that. This is the last time I'll be addressing David. I spent all day yesterday, all day last night, going after David for perpetuating the lies that he was telling. He began telling everybody that Felice and I were racist. Then he moved on to saying we were tokenizing Black people, to advocating for lynching, and so on. And it became so much that Republicans were even telling him to stop. And David then perpetuated to go on to 4 other lives where he continued this, and 2 more videos, and so on. And I'm over it. I did my part, and I put him in his place, and forevermore he'll just keep spreading this lie about Felice and I.
We're leaving.
Thank you, Chelsea. I agree. It doesn't need to be talked about anymore. I would advocate just not even giving David attention. Like, that's what he's looking for. I think what we're seeing right now, like I started this live, MAGA is crumbling. It really is crumbling. It's a grievance campaign that no longer makes any sense, and they're lashing out because they can't admit that they were wrong. They can't figure out what's going on, so they just lash out at those who don't agree with them, and specifically the cowardice of David and Gorilla to attack 2 women who have been incredibly kind to them. I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the bottom line. Like, the worst thing of all of this for me, I mean, you can call me a liar. It's just simply, it's simply not true. And this is the other thing about David, which is very telling. David, who also does admit that systemic racism is an issue. Like, the answer to being called a racist, I just want to say this, like, is not, I'm not a racist, I'm not a racist. The answer is, hey, we all have inherent bias built into us from this world that we should all be working constantly to dismantle. Like, that is the answer. There's no need to get defensive about it. Like, and it's so, that's the problem. David thinks he's hurting me. He's not hurting me. Like, we're all on a journey to deconstruct. That is the answer. I'm not defensive about that. And it's the same thing. Like, David thinks hurling the insult of racism is an issue that people can't tackle. He also thinks the worst insult is being associated with the trans community, which to me is the real victim here. People need to recognize that the trans community is under attack constantly. Like, I'm being threatened to be killed because, like, I've been associated with the trans community. This is the reality that the trans community is facing every single day, and that is what needs to be acknowledged. Like, that is the story.
I agree. 100%.
Thanks, guys, for addressing this.
You're welcome,
And I
Chelsea.
appreciate all the support from last night.
Yeah, try and keep your peace and let us know if there's anything we can do.
Bye, guys.
See ya. All right. Now here's what we're going to do. Felice put together a remarkable outline. As she said, she didn't really want to discuss this. We're done with it forever. I would just make this suggestion. For people like David, for people like Gorilla, they want attention. They want you to react. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for a reaction. You can go in there and you can criticize them. You can go in there, you can mock them. You can comment on their videos. You can do all of those things, and it might make you feel a little bit better, feel like you're part of the fight. But sometimes the hardest and most effective thing to do is to just leave. And just and stop giving them oxygen, right? That's just what I would advocate. I don't want to tell anybody how to act. If it makes you feel a little bit better to go on the offensive, I get it. I'm just saying that what they want is a reaction. They want people to comment, and he
wants engagement, right? Yeah. Like, any engagement on the internet is a good thing. Like, that's the funny part about all the harassment I get. It's like engagement. Like, I have a background in advertising. I understand that it's building my brand. Like, I don't think the people doing it understand that. So yeah, I would definitely say the thing to do is just forget they exist.
And I'm going to do something that you'll hate, so I apologize in advance. Like, I talked to Felice about this last night. I borderline begged her to take a day off. I said I can do it on my own, like, protect your peace. But I will tell you this, that, like, we make very little money, very little. And this is what we do. And the reason we do this is because we think that we can make an impact, and we think that the impact we make is an impact that helps other people. Felice didn't want to address this. She didn't want to cover it at all, but recognized that there are people who do want to address it and something needed to be sent, and she showed up. She built an outline, and it's incredible. Just wait till you guys see what Felice has put together today. But somebody in our Discord said, and I just want to agree with this, and this is the part you're going to hate, from a snark attack, said, Felice is the most mature person on TikTok, possibly the world. I will tell you from experience, Felice is a human being. Felice has real feelings. Felice does feel things, but Felice also has a sense of wanting to make an impact for only the good. Right? Felice never engages with me when I get petty and I go on my rants and I go into other lives and I talk shit to people. You know who never sends me a text like, oh, you burned them? Felice. Why? Because, like, it's just not her thing. She's just actually that mature, which is great for me because I'm a child. So we don't need to discuss it again, but I just wanted to shout out Felice for all the hard work that you do, and you are making an impact, and now we're going to show you why.
Well, yeah. And 1 second. Sorry, Jen. I just realized I did not send the outline to you in my mental breakdown list. Sorry.
And I also, Felice, I will try my best to stay on the outline. I got a new computer. I got a PC, which is horrific. and so I can't put the notes on here, so I may be a little behind, but I've got a second phone up ready to go while Felice sends that. In the meantime, look, we are happy to take MAGA opposition today. We will be pointing out a lot of really, really insane things that happened this weekend. This is the worst part. Not the worst part. Fuck, that's a terrible thing. This is one of the parts that sucks, is that this weekend, the conservatives in this country from Thursday on lost their goddamn minds. They have completely lost the plot. They've gone absolutely insane, and we want to highlight that this week. And I think that this is what 2024 should be about, is us consistently highlighting just how insane MAGA has become.
That sounds like a plan to me. Yeah, so, we haven't been here since Thursday, right? Thursday was our last show. Yeah, and we were super tired. So, yeah, so we missed the State of the Union, but I think today we are going to start with some crazy stuff that's happening today, and then we'll sort of work our way backwards. We'll try to cover all of the absurdity. But so
it's tough. It's a lot.
I know it's so much. There's no way to get through it all. It's so funny. We have to talk about Katie Britt. I think Katie Britt should be your new project. You can fix her. You can fix her. She's 42. There's still time for change. You can fix Katie Britt. She's going to scarily whisper at you the whole time you're trying, but you could save her. She is. Can you imagine what it's like in bed? It must be scary. She's like,
yeah.
She's whisper terror, yelling at people. It's just super. That was one of the scariest things I've ever experienced.
Your border open? My border's open.
She's so weird. Yeah, we'll get into that. But I want to just start. Let's just talk about the Jimmy Kimmel stuff of it all, because
Please.
Oh, and I gotta say something else. First of all, so we'll cover the Oscar stuff, and then we'll move on from there. If you didn't. I did not watch all the Oscars, obviously, but I did. One of the things I always do, when it's Oscar days, on all these streaming services, we're all paying for and not using. I watch either the movies up for nomination, or a couple movies, or ones that have been nominated or won in the past. So I was watching yesterday Poor Things, which just got put on Hulu, which Emma Stone, right? Is that her name? If I'm getting it wrong, I'm sorry. Won last night for Best Actress for Poor Things. This is an indictment. Poor Things is an indictment on capitalism, the patriarchy. It's one of the best metaphors, women. It's basically a feminist, movie that will change your life. We are all Bella Baxter, and I do highly suggest, if you have not seen Poor Things, to watch it, because it will absolutely change your life. So it was top 3 best movies I've ever seen in my life.
So is this the one
Women,
time?
I'm talking to you.
Is this the one time that you're ever up to date on movies then? Just right before the Oscars?
This is really funny that all of this stuff happened yesterday, because I was already just trying to survive this weekend with other stuff unrelated. I'm pushing down so many things right now and pretending they're not happening. That's
having to work with me.
When you told me about what was going on yesterday, I just was I can't deal with this. That was my number one response. It was I actually can't handle this right now, because I'm having another nervous breakdown about something else. Please call back later.
Please.
That's literally what it was. But yeah, so I was watching just movies to try to distract, when you're trying to distract yourself from life. One of my favorite creators, who I won't say his name because he doesn't want people to, he doesn't like attention because he talks about controversial stuff, and then anyways. But
it's wild as the creator. Don't say my name, but
no, he doesn't listen. Yeah, he doesn't want a bunch of people coming to his page for a good reason. I've seen what happens when they do. But actually, never mind. I'm not even going to get it. That's less important. Let's just move on. Anyways, Poor Things is my recommendation. But the other interesting thing that happened at the Oscars is Trump. And the more you get to know Trump, the more you follow him and understand what he's talking about in these Truth Social posts, the funnier they are, because there's so many different references that if you don't know what Trump's up to and what his grievances are, won't even make sense. So let me read you this Truth Social post, and then like what basically happened is Trump, being Trump, has had this ongoing feud because Jimmy Kimmel continues to humiliate Trump all the time. You
So
know, it's
sad.
like Jimmy Kimmel 10, Trump 0. So Trump again is on True Social. Here's what he wrote. This is at like 6:39. Has there ever been a worse host than Jimmy Kimmel at the Oscars? His opening was that of a less than average person trying too hard to be something which he is not and never can be. Get rid of Kimmel and perhaps replace him with another washed up but cheap ABC talent, George Slopinopoulos. Now, if you don't know why he's talking about George Slopinopoulos,
Yeah.
he is furious at George Stephanopoulos for shaming Nancy Mace and him on Sunday morning politics. Like, and we'll get into that. One of the best dog walkings of all time came from George Stephanopoulos. So that's why he's getting mentioned. He would make everybody on stage look bigger, stronger, and much more glamorous. Like, so he's saying,
What does he think the Oscar host is doing? These are comedians. Like, Donald Trump thinks everything is a dick measuring contest. Like, do you not know what the Oscars is? Do you not know what the host's job is? The Oscars is like what is it? 37 hours long? I can't remember how many hours, but something like 37 hours long. And you have all these stars sitting in a room. The host's job is to like take those moments where they're setting up the next thing and make those memorable and make them funny. Trump would just sit up there and do a campaign speech about how everything's unfair, and that would make him look like a big man, I guess. He doesn't, for a guy who's in the media constantly, I don't think he really understands, and maybe this is a good insight into him, like he does not understand humor at all.
That's very true. And this is all just sad insecurity that he's projecting onto everyone else. But okay, also a really bad politically correct show tonight. You know, not enough bigotry in there, really, I guess. And for years, disjointed, boring, and very unfair. Why don't they just give the Oscars to those that deserve them? Maybe that way their audience and TV ratings will come back from the depths. Make America great again. Okay.
Did Lady Ballers not win Best Comedy? That Ben Shapiro movie? It did not win Best Comedy?
What he thinks is a good movie. It would be quite scary to find out. So he truths that, and Jimmy Kimmel, being Jimmy Kimmel, just decides to call him out publicly on stage while hosting the Oscars. And there is nothing worse for a malignant narcissist than to be publicly humiliated, like the best looking, like the rich and famous of Hollywood, like the A-list of Hollywood, like Jodie Foster. Like this clip hands to like Jodie Foster, like peeing her pants laughing. Like, it's hilarious. Oh, sorry. I got
Hi, everyone. I was just, doing this show is not about me, and I appreciate you having me. It's really about you and Emma and all these great actors and actresses and filmmakers. But I was told we have like an extra minute, and I'm really proud of something. I was wondering if I could share it with you. I just got a review, and has there ever been a worse host than Jimmy Kimmel? His opening was that of a less than average person trying too hard to be something which he is not and never can be. Get rid of Kimmel and perhaps replace him with another washed up but cheap ABC talent, George Slopinopoulos. He would make everybody on stage look bigger, stronger, and more glamorous. Blah, blah, blah. Make America great again. Okay, now, see if you can guess which former president just... Anyone? No? Well, thank you, President Trump. Thank you for watching. I'm surprised you're still... Isn't it past your jail time? Focused on the important stuff for sure.
He's focused on the important stuff for sure.
Yeah, let's just take a moment to indulge in Donald Trump's tweet or truth and recognize that like this is a guy running for president, and this is a guy who was president and he is live rage truthing the Oscars. Like this guy he's either doing 1930s Germany campaign stop, or he's just watching the media and rage truthing. That's what, or golfing. Those are the three things that this guy does. And this is your guy. This is your guy, Republicans. Congratulations. You have a guy that is like, for all the times you say, "Ooh, he's sitting in your mom's basement." It's the most petty, like childish human on the internet. And you're like, we really need this guy to be president again. That would be terrific.
It makes the most sense, right? But Jimmy, I mean, it's the gift that keeps on giving. Like, he cannot help himself. And I honestly feel like as a result of this is just my feeling as somebody who's worked in marketing and is very familiar with Donald Trump's schedule. Like, when Trump feels slighted, he feels the need to speak. And so, like, this morning, he truths really early, like, "I'm going on CNBC," which I'm like, oh, here we go. Like, yeah. You know what I mean? Because he just can't keep his mouth shut. He's like, I need to impromptu, like, go yell a bunch of inappropriate things and alienate another group of people this morning to get back at Jimmy Kimmel, which is not getting back at him. It's just continuing to embarrass yourself further.
Well, luckily, by this morning, he had calmed down. And when he went on CNBC, I didn't watch it yet, but just knowing Trump, I know that when he got there, it was a policy-driven discussion that was incredibly sane. Is that correct?
Well, do you remember? And I can't. It's his name will probably come to me during this. But do you remember last week? I was talking like Pete Buttigieg like tore this guy up. I was like, I didn't know like there were such Trump lovers on CNBC. It's that same guy that we were like, what's this guy's name? That was like Pete Buttigieg just like did a number on. It was like, which by the way, Pete Buttigieg was again Sunday politics. I know Biden is like, you show up. He was on like all Fox shows yesterday, just tearing people to shreds. No, never does his blood pressure raise. Just calmly like using speech and debate technique, just just running circles around people. You've got to love him. But anyway, so Trump shows. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to. So yesterday, Live to be great, who is
I love
amazing.
him.
Like,
oh, I know, I love him.
He has the.
You rarely mention people. I feel so strongly about. Yeah, I love him.
Yeah, he's one of the best people on TikTok, and also a phenomenal debater. But the thing I respect the most about him is his ability to like check his emotions and not be petty like some of us tend to be. But one of the things that he said, and what we're seeing is that like Pete Buttigieg is really smart, right? There are a lot of really smart people, but it's not that Pete Buttigieg is that much smarter. What Pete Buttigieg does really, really well is only speaks in facts, and he doesn't let the MAGA like wackiness get him derailed. He stays on topic. And Liv brought this up yesterday. He was giving advice to Z-Pac actually at the time, and he was just like, "Hey, dude, don't respond to what they say. Like, force them to answer your questions. Just stick to that question." And when you force Republicans to answer questions, like, you can see the meltdown. You'll see it with Trump. You will definitely cover this with Nancy Mace. Like, when you just simply demand that they answer the question and not switch subjects, they absolutely fall apart.
No, for sure. Nancy, oh God, we'll get to Nancy. She is a mess.
I might not be able to fix her. I might not.
You might not want to. Like, truly, I have way more sympathy, actually, now that I've seen this all play, probably for Lauren Boebert, seriously. I don't, you know what, like,
she's Nancy, become a sympathetic figure.
Well, not even, no, she hasn't, Jay. That's just in your mind. Yeah, that's just in your mind. That's just in your weirdo mind. But no, but here's the thing, Nancy Mace. We saw it yesterday, and you guys are going to see it. The reason Trump is hating on George Stephanopoulos is because he called Nancy Mace out on her hypocrisy, on her not supporting victims of SA. And he was 100% right, and he stayed calm. And Nancy Mace, for worst interview of all, she should be in a hole right now. I don't know if she went to work today, but I would be literally in my closet. Just
Well, but that's the thing. Like with MAGA, all your only job really is to defend Donald Trump at all times and in all things and in all places. If any of my Mormon friends are out there, you'll recognize that terminology. But like that's what she did. So she's a hero for MAGA. Like the amount of tweets I saw where people were repeating what she said, where they're like, George Stephanopoulos spent 10 minutes shaming a grape victim. It's like, the fuck are you talking about? Like, he kept asking the same question. She's like, you're shaming me. He's like, I'm not shaming you. I'm asking you why, as a victim, you're voting for a person who clearly did the same thing. Right? Like,
a jury has found liable of rape. Like those are the facts. And actually, I learned from George Stephanopoulos that it is. I don't know if we'll get into this. Actually, let me not ruin the good surprise of all the great stuff that George Stephanopoulos did yesterday. ABC. I will say this, just as someone who watched Sunday morning politics is where it's at. Like if you get up early, like check ABC this week is great. Like Kristen Welker, she's really starting to be on my last nerve.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening at NBC. Kristen Welker's not well. But yeah, Sunday morning politics, Maria Bartiromo's usually, oh my God. Maria had the co-chair of the RNC on yesterday, and it was truly a train wreck.
Let me, while you're pulling that up, let me grab some comments because there's a lot already this morning. So I want to make sure we get.
Yeah, guys, if you want to send us a gift, we keep 100% of these donations. Send us a funny, like we usually do, like F Mary banish, like politicians or whatever, just a funny message or awful dad jokes. I love any of that, and we'll read them periodically throughout the show. Keep tapping the screen. Let's get to 65K. Sorry.
Thank you. From Kelly for fuck David. He's a trash human sending love. I think there's going to be a lot of that, so I apologize in advance. I'm going to guess that many of these comments are not friendly to David. From Rich for the best team on TikTok. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Rich. Congratulations. We're the best team on TikTok.
This is news to me.
I think like in a sporting event, we're a formidable 2v2 team.
Oh.
I actually think
any sporting event. I don't think, like when I say I'm a scholarship Division I athlete, I'm not doing myself justice when I explain to you how coordinated I am.
just
like
any
sport.
Face.
Exactly.
Grammar hole. You're both beautiful people, and I appreciate you so much. You've made a big difference in my life. Wow. Thank you. God, I'm so bad.
Don't make me cry.
I know. I'm bad at this. Chelsea says, "Love you, Felice."
Love you too, Chelsea. Thank you.
Jackie. Whoops. Sometimes I click on the... Guys, this is a lot of comments. I apologize. Sending you love, Felice. Keep on being you. You're perfect just the way you are.
I'm just starting to realize that. It only took like 3+ decades, but it's sinking in at this point.
Marlene just says TikTok. I like that. Thank you, Marlene.
That's right.
It was a very generous donation. Stephanie says thank you for all you do, Felice and Jay. And my God, these are coming in. This is not enough money for what you deal with. That is from Benny. So,
thank you, Benny.
Thank you,
You're
guys.
the best.
All right, on with it.
Okay, so we're going to go over the Trump calling in to CNBC this morning. And the man, I just thought of the man. Oh yeah, Joe Kernan. So the man, there's actually 3 announcers, which I don't know the 2 women's names. I don't watch CNBC a lot, but Joe Kernan is the guy who I'm sure saw, like last week, he was vigorously trying to defend Trump to Pete Buttigieg. So I'm sure that's why Trump has now graced him with a call in thanks for his fealty.
Yeah.
That's what I assume is going on. So just know that Trump started out this interview basically saying that he's going to, do the opposite. He's been talking about protecting Social Security and Medicare. Well, it's not looking like that's the plan anymore.
Oh, you don't say.
You don't
No
say
way.
that somebody purporting himself to be a billionaire doesn't like. What needs to be said about this is, listen up. Anybody that's telling you, which is the Republicans, that the only way to handle Social Security and Medicare is for us to work years longer, whatever. That is not we can tax the rich. There are so many options. There are so many. Biden, just with negotiating with pharmaceutical companies, has made back $1 trillion of the debt. There are so many ways that we can handle these issues other than punish the people who have paid into this and steal their money.
Yeah. I think what Biden's done, and what the lesson that should be learned from Biden that we're not learning because we have Donald Trump and he just dominates the news cycle, is that an effective president is one who just goes about doing their business, that isn't on TV all the time, isn't running for photo ops all the time. You can see even when he went to Georgia this weekend, he quickly went to Georgia. He did 4 stops, dropped a bunch of ads, and he's right back to work the next day. And I think that should be something that we look for in our future presidents. Somebody who's just going to come in. It's a short amount of time. You have 4 years, maybe 8. It's a very short amount of time. Don't waste any of that time campaigning. But all of them campaign the whole time. They have to campaign their whole presidency. But Biden has done a really, really good job, and maybe he has the benefit of running against an absolute lunatic. But he's done a really good job of not focusing on campaigning and instead focusing on getting things done.
Okay. Here's Trump basically saying, all of this, the point of this is to realize about Trump, everything he's doing is for the election. Everything he's promising or saying has to do with a platform that he believes will get him elected. He doesn't actually believe this stuff.
Stark policy differences, obviously, Mr. President, but one thing that I think that at least the perception is that there's not a whole lot of difference between what you think we should do with entitlements or non-discretionary spending and what President Biden is proposing. It's almost the third rail of politics. And we've got a $34 trillion total debt built up, and very little we can do in terms of cutting spending. Discretionary is not going to help. Have you changed your outlook on how to handle entitlements, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, Mr. President? It seems like something has to be done, or else we're going to be stuck at 120% of debt to GDP forever.
So first of all, there is a lot you can do in terms of entitlements, in terms of cutting, and in terms of also the theft and the bad management of entitlements, tremendous bad management of entitlements. There's tremendous amounts of things,
and those things
numbers of things you can do. So I don't, necessarily agree with the statement.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
well, no, he never says anything specific. Yeah. But this is a man that has been saying, protect him at all costs. That's not the message that we're hearing now, is it? The only thing the rich believe they can do is punish the poor who've paid into this so that they can be okay at the end of their life. And their answer is to punish us for doing what they told us we should do. And they promised to protect us in doing so.
Yeah, if you'll notice, if you watch Trump as much as anybody does, anytime he's asked a question about specifics, he'll just repeat back the question that you asked, and he'll say that phrase, in terms of. What are you going to do about the crisis that we have at the southern border? Well, in terms of the border and the crisis and the southernness of the border, there's a lot you can do. And look, we have a weaponized Department of Justice. We have somebody who's trying to jail their political opponent. We have fentanyl pouring over the borders. We have inflation. People can't buy houses, and that's why we're going to make America great again. I could do his whole fucking shtick, except for I use the words correctly. He does the same thing for every single question. He repeats it back to you, and then he tells you how much he's being picked on.
That is true. That it's always and I'm a victim. I don't know if you heard, but I'm a victim. Oh, you're going to love some of this because, CNBC, you're on there to discuss money, right? Or finance, which we've seen from Trump's Fordham grades. He doesn't know anything about finance.
1.4, was it?
Yeah. This man never made it through any finance classes without, with higher than a D. So listen to Trump talk about cryptocurrency.
Do you have any thoughts now on crypto?
well, it's taken its own life. I do little things sometimes for fun and, make money with it. But I have
Sure
fun
you do.
with it too.
You mean you bought Bitcoin?
No, but sometimes...
Do you hear him? The guy's trying to help him. He's like, NFT, Bitcoin, like trying to get him to talk about cryptocurrency,
of
which
course.
Trump knows nothing about. Like,
Of course, what Trump is saying by like sometimes I do something to make money, he means putting out those.
no, he's
scam
going to start
NFTs.
talking about. Wait till you hear this.
Oh, okay.
He's not going to answer. Yeah, just wait. Like, he doesn't know anything about crypto.
money with it, but I have fun with it too.
You mean you bought
NFTs.
Bitcoin?
No, but
No.
sometimes we'll let people pay through Bitcoin, or we'll let people get involved in a new. If you think of it, it's an additional form of currency. And I used to say,
okay.
I want one currency. I want the dollar. I don't want people leaving the dollar. And I feel that way. But I will tell you, it has taken on a life. I did a thing that people smile at, but it was wild. We did 1,000 sneakers, so limited edition sneaker run. The last one, and you could go through, our crazy new currencies, because that's what I call them.
He's saying what the extent of what Trump knows about cryptocurrency is that sometimes people buy, like his grifts, sometimes people purchase those grifts with crypto. That's the extent.
We allow people to give us money when it's crypto. That's what I know about crypto. And now let me tell you about some sneakers that have nothing to do with fucking crypto.
Some sneakers. Let me tell you about what I tried to do to attract the African American vote, and then I insulted all of them.
It's Bitcoin or others, and so many people were buying these things. And ultimately, the last pair of sneakers sold for approximately, I hear, $450,000. It was a limited edition, a run. They were gold. They were, nice, cute. And we thought it was just a very small thing. It was a branding thing, and had a good time with it. The last pair sold for $450,000. People were going crazy for these sneakers. You probably were too. Everybody was.
No one was.
Every friend I have has called me for a pair of sneakers. So
Can I
it just
explain-
took off.
Can I explain something real quick?
So many.
Okay, so before I did sports betting, I've tried a lot of different businesses, but there was this boom in sports cards where you could they were called breaks. And essentially what you do is like you get a bunch of boxes of sports cards that are unopened and you auction off like teams or players. And so I would sell cards. Like I got my license like with these dealers and I was selling cards and I would do these live breaks. So on eBay, people would bid for players or teams. And then once the bidding was done, we would go live and we'd make a video opening the packs of cards. I don't know if you guys have seen these, but it taught me a lot about how eBay works. And let me explain what happened with these shoes. These $450,000 shoes, because I looked. You can go find it. Like if you Google the actual listing, the asking price for these shoes was $450,000. There is an option to offer somebody a different amount for the shoes, and the person who sells them does not have to tell you what offer they accepted. Right? So these shoes sold, and they sold through the offer button. So unless somebody offered the exact asking price, which doesn't make any fucking sense, because you could just click buy now. And
The point of eBay is to not,
yeah. So we have no idea what those shoes sold for, and frankly, we have no idea if the shoes sold because it's still not a completed sell in eBay. When you sell something on eBay, both the recipient and the person selling it, they have to confirm the sell once it's been delivered, and we don't even have a completed confirmed sell yet. That was as of last week. We might have it by now, but we didn't even have a confirmed sell yet. So just to show you like how grifty these people are, like somebody said put it up for $450,000. They knew they could get the headline for that. There's no chance. There's no chance it was sold for anywhere near that amount unless it was just a donor trying to get money to Trump, and somehow this eBay listing the money was going back to Trump.
Okay, so let's finish this because I just like the whole point of this, or the takeaway of this CNBC interview, is that Trump knows nothing about finance. This is a man who's going to lead our country and knows nothing about the world economy, how it works, finance, anything.
Of them were paid for with this with the new currency, and it is that it's a new cryptocurrency. And I couldn't believe the amount. And I'm saying, this thing is really, and other things I do, people are using it. And, I would be, I'm very much a traditionalist. I like staying with the dollar. You know that from when I was there. It's make the dollar the choice. I hate when countries go off the dollar. I would not allow countries to go off the dollar because...
Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, which he really wouldn't. So all you crypto bros, like, you've heard it here first. Not only does he know nothing about crypto, but he is the US dollar till he dies. This is the old guard, the donor class who care about the value of the dollar because it affects the world economy. Like, that's what you're hearing.
Yeah, I remember specifically when he was running, like he said there, he's like, remember when I used to say, make the dollar the thing? Like, what are you saying, dude? What does that mean? That didn't make any sense. And second of all, like, how are you going to stop people from relying on the dollar in other countries? How are you going to do that? I will make sure that everybody runs on the dollar. Okay. But that's not, this guy says nothing. He's the dumbest human being ever to seriously make a run at president, and he won once, and he's close this time. This is not an intelligent human being at all. He says nothing. He doesn't understand cryptocurrency. He doesn't understand politics. He doesn't understand the wall. He doesn't understand trade. This is somebody who actually is, the more we learn about him, we're finding out just stupid. But he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, so he's been able to, like, be stupid his whole life and still keep money.
Thank you for that. Okay. Moving along.
I wanted to ask you about that because
almost so think of it, European Union, we're paying almost all for their military.
So this is where Trump mistakes the European Union for NATO.
It's over there.
It's going on right now.
So think of it, European Union, we're paying almost all for their military. We were paying close to 100% until I came along. I said, I'm not doing it.
It's not true.
You're going to have to pay.
It's not true.
You're going to have to pay. We're not doing it anymore. They said, would you protect us if we don't? I said, if you're delinquent? They said, yes. I said, if you're delinquent, you're not going to be protected. And $400 billion came in like clockwork. Obama, Bush, everybody else, they did absolutely
snoring.
nothing.
Can you rewind? Is somebody snoring in the background of this video?
I don't know what's going on.
Did you hear that?
Bush, everybody else, they did absolutely
It's like a computer.
nothing. So,
Mr. President, I just wanted to ask you, though, you also talked about proposing a 10% tariff, if you will. And I wanted to ask you
that's the next
about
video.
that.
We'll get on that. But yeah, so Trump, first of all, again, like, everyone's required to pay the same percentage of your gross domestic product, right? No one owes the U.S. any money. And the only people who have ever invoked Article 5 and actually used NATO, what everyone's, paying 2% of their gross domestic product for, is the United States during 9/11.
Right, and they are taking that money, just to be clear, that money is coming back almost exclusively to the United States. The money that they're putting in, that's an investment into the United States. We're making all the weaponry. We supply most of the soldiers. Like,
we're the arms dealers.
All of that money is it's coming back to us.
They're paying it to us. And when you hear Trump talking about if they don't pay, that is a simple protection racket. We are listening to a Queen's mob boss explain, like, the basic simpleton protection racket. And he's trying to run a NATO protection, like, mob boss protection racket. It's insulting to everyone's intelligence.
Yeah, but somebody like that definitely wouldn't be guilty of, like, some RICO charges, right? Like, definitely not.
Definitely.
They wouldn't be guilty of, like, I don't know, threatening a governor or a secretary of state. They wouldn't be guilty of that. Not Donald Trump. Not this guy. Not this guy.
Not this guy. Guys, keep tapping the screen. Let's get to 100K. Okay. Now let's talk. You're going to love this part because they get into the tariffs, which is, a point of contention for us because Trump's an idiot.
Also talked about proposing a 10% tariff, if you will. And I wanted to ask you about that because the Center-Right American Action Forum, which is a think tank, said that they thought the plan would, quote, distort global trade, discourage economic activity, and have broad negative consequences for the U.S. economy.
Well, they're wrong. It would distort international trade. It would bring it back to the United States. We have companies. If you look at India, you look at China, you look at so many different countries, they're smart, much smarter than our country. We were getting ready to do this, and I had it just about set.
But you don't think it would result in higher prices for American families? By some estimates, it could be the equivalent of $2,000 a family, according to The Economist.
No, I think I think taxes could be cut. I think other things could happen to more than adjust that.
Listen.
But I'm a big believer in tariffs for two reasons. Number one, I fully believe in them economically when you're being taken advantage of by other countries.
Ask you though.
Okay. First of all, he's saying he fully believes in tariffs. It's important to know he's saying he imposed tariffs on China. China never paid those tariffs. You know who paid? We did, the American taxpayer. We bailed out the farmers. If you're thinking that Trump's Chinese tariffs work, they didn't work. China didn't pay them, and then we paid them.
Yeah. Look, this is, again, we hate to bring up his grades and his Wharton School of Business degree that he loves talking about. But this is a guy running for president who literally does not know what a tariff is. I used to think he was lying. I now think that I was also fooled by his confidence. I actually think he's that dumb. I don't think he knows, and nobody around him can tell him. If the host correctly pointed out that these tariffs would add an average of $2,000 to an American household, and he said, "Well, we're going to give them tax cuts." Well, right now, Americans are struggling to live paycheck to paycheck. What do you think happens when tariffs affect you immediately, right? That affects you immediately. What do you think happens to Americans who are living paycheck to paycheck who take a $2,000 hit? You think you can just wait around until tax season and that'll make up for it? That's the thing that these 1%ers and people with more money don't understand is yeah, if you have to wait until tax season to get that back, but you have plenty of money, no big deal. But most people in America don't have an extra $2,000 that they can go without until tax season. It's silly, but it's stupid, and it would affect nothing. And I'd also like to point out that Donald Trump had no fucking plan. He was not close to rolling out some new plan that would bring jobs back. He wasn't. I've looked. If somebody wants to point to me this plan that was about to roll out before Biden took over, I'd be glad to listen to that. Somebody in the comments asked if we're taking debates today. Yes, we are. Opposition only. And I would love if somebody could come up and tell me about this plan that Donald Trump had.
And let me say something real quick.
Back.
Someone mentioned, and I didn't notice right now, I just put the wrong background up. Yes, CoinCot is over. If you donate to us, that 100% goes to us. But yes, CoinCot is no longer going on. But I just put the wrong background up. So I do know. Thank you for helping me notice that. Sorry. Sorry, I interrupted. Were you done?
No, you're good. While you find your place, let me read some more comments here. This is maybe my favorite one of the day. This is from Travis for fuck David and Felice. You can order the whole menu. That's our Cheesecake Factory friend. You get the whole menu.
Thank you. So I'm back at Cheesecake Factory. You're out of the booth, Jay. You're out of the booth.
Mara says you guys are so awesome. Matt says, for where will YouTube be if TikTok gets the jab? That's a good question.
Let's wait because Trump's going to address that because I can't wait to get on this hypocrisy. That is addressed in this interview. We could talk about that.
Okay, remind me to address Matt's comment when we get there so that we can share our opinion.
Or unless you want to say what your opinion is now in case we forget because
my opinion
you never know.
Yeah, look, I think that there's a real chance that this gets passed from Congress, but what they're saying is that TikTok can't exist if ByteDance is going to be the parent company. So they would force a sell to an American company. I know Kevin O'Leary has already said he would buy it. There would be an endless stream of all the billionaires wanting TikTok. This is an established, growing social media platform. There will be no shortage of buyers for TikTok. So I don't imagine it would hurt us. I think that it's even possible that we could maybe get some customer service. It's possible that for them to be competitive with YouTube and Twitch, maybe they'll reduce some fees. I would really like it if somebody else owned TikTok. I'm not super thrilled with who owns TikTok right now. So hopefully it would be somebody better, but I don't think it's going away.
Okay, well, and I'm just gonna say about what Jay. I'm not disagree. Well, I am gonna disagree with a little bit, but like
How
this
dare
is
you.
just. Well, I worked for a social media company that was pre-IPO to post-IPO, and like what the difference, and like when people feel some frustration with TikTok now, it's because it's in its infancy. Like TikTok is in its like terrible twos. And as the engineering product roadmap becomes more robust, there's more features added. And as they like get further along with monetization, like some of these problems will go away, some will get worse. But like that's just what it is. Like this is a young company that is figuring out how it's going to pay back its investors and is like feeling the strain of that. But yeah,
And look, some people are saying, I've heard this too, like people are afraid of censorship. They're afraid, what if a right-winger buys it? Keep in mind, like, the right-wingers care about their politics, but they care an awful lot more about the money that they make. And there has never been a social media platform that went right-wing that did well. Right? Or went total like free speech and did well. If you start censoring liberal voices, but you only promote conservative voices, your platform will die. You don't have a big enough customer base. So I would just point out that like as much as people are afraid of being on a platform run by conservatives, they still do care about the money. Right, and if you start censoring leftist voices, there's other places leftists can go. Google would love to have them over at YouTube. Twitch would love to have them. There's places for people to go. So I'm honestly not that worried about it. One more comment from Shannon here. For you guys keep me sane, and fuck David.
that barely hanging. We're all just barely hanging on the same thread together. No, same though. You guys keep me sane. Like I think in a way, like, we're all just banding together and trying to survive. I think this is very healthy.
And every person in the steel industry, when they see me,
Oh yes. Oh my God. So this is where Trump lets us all know that steel workers run up to him crying, hugging him. You know, this is one of those moments where he lets us know that he single-handedly like saved the steel workers.
every person in the steel industry, when they see me, they started crying. They would hug me.
He said
He
said every single person. Okay, I just want to be clear. That is every single person in the steel industry.
Hey, Felice, just real quick, is it possible to walk up and hug a former president or current president?
I think he'd
Or would
get
Secret
tackled and like
Service
beaten.
possibly?
Yeah, I don't think it would go well.
When I was dating,
What about that lady that threw that wine at Matt Gaetz? She has a felony.
yeah, I was dating this girl that lived on, I think it's Colonial.
In Colorado, District
no,
3?
No, she lived in Bethesda, Maryland, and I think it's Colonial. It's this golf course. And their backyard backs up to that golf course, and Bill Clinton was out there, and she loved Bill Clinton. She ran to go hug Bill Clinton. She made it 15 yards.
Oh, I
she
can't even
didn't get within
imagine.
100 yards of him
Yeah,
before he was
no.
tackled. I promise you, nobody's walking up and hugging Donald Trump. First of all, he smells like shit. Who's going to want to hug him? And second of all, you can't get there. And third of all, why the if anybody from the steel industry gave Donald Trump a hug and cried and said thank you, well, I'm sorry. You're also fucking dumb, because he didn't do anything for you. He didn't save your job. He didn't save your industry. Like, stop it. If you're crying over Donald Trump, if you're crying for any president, fucking knock it off. Just don't do that anymore.
Okay, here we go, because this just gets, it's worse than you.
Every person in the steel industry, when they see me, they started crying. They would hug me. They would kiss me. Sir, you saved our industry. I put a very strong 50% tariff on dumping steel, on their dump steel. And by the way, nothing was perfect. Frankly, the tariff should have been higher. I was getting ready to do that, by the way. Coming in.
I was getting ready to do that, by the way. Didn't do it.
And every person in the steel
Oh,
industry.
sorry. I just started it over. Go ahead.
Well, I want to be fair. I did find a steelworker talking about Donald Trump and how much they love him. The steelworker said, I'm automatically attracted to him. I just start kissing him. It's like a magnet. Just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a steel worker, they let you do it. You can do anything. You can grab him by the puss. That's what the steel worker said here. I don't know if I'm allowed to say pussy, but I said it. Sorry.
Anyways, okay, so here we go. Oh my God. Here we continue on with Trump's global economic policy that he knows nothing about.
The United States.
Is there no concern that China could impose retaliatory tariffs or retaliatory
Yes.
actions that would make doing business in China difficult for American companies, which are dependent on China for growth?
That's okay. Yeah,
That's
sure.
okay.
They might do that, but you know what? They didn't do it.
Like, what this interview did for Trump was really scare corporations, because that's why why you always hear Republicans saying the only thing to do is punish people that have paid into entitlements and steal their money or whatever, is because that's what corporations and billionaires, that's the only answer. It's certainly not to tax them, right? And that's why when Trump tries to say this stuff right here about corporations and, oh, that's okay, like,
Totally
no.
fine.
Decoupling from China, the reason I personally don't get too invested, like when people are like, oh, China's going to attack us, is because what is most important to understand about the US and China's economic partnership is that if one of us fails, the other one fails. So in that way, we should all be rooting China along, because if their economy crashes, our economy crashes. And those are just the facts.
And this is why his message works with specifically like white dudes. I was talking to my ex about this last night, and I think about this all the time, but life is so easy in comparison if you're just like a cis white dude. And because it's so easy to be successful, and because it's so easy to find, let's be totally transparent. Me looking like I look, like, that was beneficial for me on TikTok. That's beneficial.
Yeah, no
for
shit.
me. Yeah, it's like it made my life substantially easier in building an audience. I recognize that. But what it also did is it made all of us think that the reason we're successful is because we're so smart, and therefore our opinions are smart. And I came to this conclusion yesterday when I was watching I was on Reddit watching Patrick Bet David clips, and I'm just like, how the fuck is this guy saying, and some Joe Rogan, and I'm like, oh yeah, they're just rich. And they think because they're rich that, like, they don't have to know things, they just internally know it. They just, like, they're so smart that they can see something and they can pick it apart and they can analyze it, and and when they analyze it, it's correct. And the reason they think they're that smart is because they're surrounded by other dummies who also don't want to read and learn anything, and so they sit around and say the same dumb shit together. Like, think about the conservative lives you're in. The one I was in last night, I'll say this again and again and again. The point of contention was every single person in the whole live agreed that Donald Trump broke the law in New York, that he committed fraud, right? Everybody had agreed with that. So the only contention is, like, how much should he be punished? And yet I was there for an hour and a half hearing people talk about, like, well, the bank didn't care. It's like, it doesn't matter. We already know he committed a crime. Like, all of this other stuff doesn't matter. Like, well, do you know how financial disclosures work? Yeah, I know you can't fucking lie on them to get a bank loan, and that's what he did. Like, but again, you can just get stuck in these ideas, like these conservative ideas that mean nothing, and it's all because nobody reads. And nobody.
No,
like,
I know.
Yeah, because if you read, you're gonna find out really quick that Donald Trump's lying to you, and that's tricky because now the person that you worship is lying to you, and you don't really know what to do with that. So the safe option is don't read, and if you do read, only read things that show that he's being picked on.
Yeah, like, I've said this so many times, like, if you read the Georgia indictment or any Trump indictment, really, like, there's no question any longer if Trump has committed crimes. Like, these are paper trails, like, these are open and shut cases, like, but again, that requires reading. Or, like, my take on, like, hey, Harrison Floyd has been indicted in this case. He's not a victim. That came from me reading the indictment and feeling terror for Ruby Freeman and her child. Like, everybody should read what happened to Ruby Freeman in that indictment.
Let's just see this comment right here from Drew. Do you know how many other investors doing the same thing are being investigated? A lot, actually. The answer is a lot. Drew, I don't know what side you're on. I don't know if you're making my point or the other point, which is weird. That's what's weird about that point, is that, like, if you're on our side, you know a lot of people have been investigated for this. And if you're on the other side, you think only Donald Trump has ever been investigated for this. So I don't even know where Drew lands. But, like, that's a good a good comment to show, like, just how we live in different realities.
Okay, guys, keep tapping the screen. Let's continue this.
Business in China difficult for American companies, which are dependent on China for growth.
Sorry. Hey, Josh, how's the northern border? Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
It's
they might
okay.
do that, but you know what?
So
They
tell
didn't do it with
Starbucks, tell
me.
McDonald's that it's going to be all of a sudden maybe more difficult to do business
but
there.
They didn't do it with me. You know, we went through years and they didn't do it with me. And they never pulled that trigger. That's a big trigger for them to pull. But even if they do, let American companies come back to America.
No, what they did was Trump imposed tariffs and then China did not pay them. That is what happened.
I like how he says, let them come back to America. Nobody's stopping them from coming back to America, right? Like, it's not like we're saying you can't come back. It's that it's cheaper for them to operate.
Yeah, no one wants to pay the labor here. So there's two options. Businesses can come back here and we become slave laborers, right? Like, because it's about the bottom line. Like, this free market capitalism, I thought this is what you all wanted.
Look, if you want to sell a car in China, you can't. Okay, you have to put you pay a massive tax or a massive tariff. If we make our cars, we can't sell in China. They charge tremendous tariffs. Well, they're very smart. They're saying, come over to this country. Look at Apple. I've had a great relationship with Apple and with Tim and everybody over there. It was fine. But I said, you got to build your plants here. They built a big plant in Texas. I was working on that very, very hard with various companies that they build in China, because if they build in China, they have no tax. So they make it in China. I said, we want you to make it here. They were coming back. They did. They came back with a very big plant here. I said, I'm not doing this unless you, and the whole topic of tariffs to me is so simple. Number one, it's great economically for us, and it brings our companies back. Because if you charge tariffs to China, they're going to build their car plants here, and they're going to employ our people. They're right now building big plants because of Biden. They're building big plants in Mexico.
Yeah,
so
because
they build
of Biden.
a big China plant in Mexico. Then they sell it across the border with very little tax. It's ridiculous. We want them to build their plants in the United States.
Is there no concern?
All right, well,
Because of NAFTA, wasn't Trump the one that negotiated?
Yeah, let's go ahead and say it. If you're saying China is building their cars in Mexico and bringing them back across the border because of lack of tariffs, that happened during the Trump presidency with Harley Davidson. So I'm very confused now what Trump is talking about. Like, you're talking about Chinese manufacturing not choosing to move to America.
He said China plants.
China plants. Sorry, I apologize.
He's calling them. I'm just let's use
the China
words.
plants.
The China plants.
The China plants are not moving to America, but America plants are moving to Mexico. Like Harley Davidson, you can't be more American than Harley Davidson. They're like, sorry, Trump, we're getting the fuck out of here. They left. American manufacturing left under Trump, and now he's going to say, like, oh, I'm going to get the Chinese plants to grow here. Maybe he thinks they grow. I don't know.
And here is the irony of all of this. The root of all this problem is free market capitalism. Right? When we allow capitalism to become unethical and people are exploited for slave labor, here we are. This is your dream, Trump.
Isn't it? It has to just drive you nuts that what capitalists and conservatives are recognizing right now is that unchecked free market capitalism is a problem for them, right? Free market capitalism means you can go to Mexico, you can go to China. So the irony of these free market capitalists now saying we can't make the market free anymore. We now have to put heavy restrictions, heavy regulation. Big government needs to step in and regulate capitalism.
That's what Trump's saying. This is the king of deregulation, saying, I will now be stepping in. Libertarians, do you hear this? This man is perverting the free marketplace.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we could probably just like change some of our tax laws. We could give the workers more rights.
Can't do that if you're getting all your money from
workplace.
corporations and billionaires, Jay. He can't do that. That's the problem. That's not an option for him. Whereas, but you know what I'm saying? Like he doesn't.
You know what
he's
all these
painted
other-
into a corner.
You know what all these other countries didn't do? Build like a massive portion of their economy based on stock speculation. That's another thing they didn't do. Right? This is where we're at now. We desperately need to be a globalized country, and the Republicans can't even identify the problem correctly. They're just like, we'll do tariffs and everybody will come back and it'll be fine. Okay. What do you think the billionaires are going to think about that? And what you think they're going to want to lose their billions? No, they're not going to want to lose their billions. So then who's going to take a hit? Workers. They're going to fire workers. They're going to do what Amazon did, and they're going to cut down to like part-time employees so they don't have to pay benefits because they have a fiduciary responsibility to their investors. Their investors don't want to lose money. All of these things Donald Trump is saying he will do, he would never do because his donors would rip him to shreds. But they're also stupid. That's the problem with both of them. He won't do them because he can't, and they're stupid.
Yeah, and oh my God, I wasn't even going to bring this up today because it's changing my life, but I am reading this book. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's basically like capitalism is out. Like the point is capitalism is over and it's been replaced with something called techno-feudalism. And it's effing fascinating. It has to do with the TikTok marketplace as well. It's the idea that the free marketplace has been completely perverted. And capitalism was the answer to feudalism, right? Like that was why capitalism existed. But now technocrats, like I've always said this, we don't need to regulate we don't need to deregulate the tech industry. We need to regulate it. The tech industry is the Wild West. There is no regulation. There's no data privacy laws in America. And what happens now is technocrats have owned their own marketplaces, right? There's no more free marketplace. The free market is gone because there is now a mob boss in like individual markets, and by markets I mean Amazon. That's a market, right?
Yeah.
To sell your product, to bring the free marketplace says you can bring your product to market, right? Like I can show up at the marketplace with a bunch of apples and I can sell them, right? Now, in techno-feudalism, there are feudal lords controlling the marketplace. So in order to bring your product to market, in order to sell it on Amazon, we have sometimes up to 50% taxes. Like, there is no capitalism. Capitalism is over. We have oligarch tech lords. And yeah, I'll get into this book more. I'm considering doing a special thing on it.
Yeah, I'm sure it covers it, but on top of that, you also know that like if you're on Amazon and you need your product to be listed, you have to pay for advertising through Amazon. You have to pay for your Amazon seller account. Like not only do they own the marketplace, they charge you to be part of the marketplace, and they charge you and to advertise. And if you don't advertise, they bury you, right? Like the product itself can't do the talking. That doesn't happen on Amazon anymore. It's a pay-to-play scheme. And you're exactly right. This is what everybody was afraid of.
So the sale of TikTok would mean that there is another a spot for another techno feudal lord. Like whoever controls the TikTok marketplace it becomes a technocrat, and that is the value and why they're trying to force a sale. I don't know. Sorry. It's just these are all.
I did not. Yeah, that thought had never occurred to me. But as you're saying it,
right?
As you're saying it, it's like, oh, that makes perfect sense. That thought never occurred to me.
I know. We've got bigger problems.
That's crazy though, because I'm a white cis het. Like I'm a white cis het man. I should have had that idea first.
Naturally, because your brain works faster than mine.
I was just thinking of higher
small
level
ideas.
things.
Well, don't worry. No one heard what I just said, so you could go repeat this later, and it will be like the first time it was ever said or heard.
That's true.
Okay, so I think this should be the clip where Trump starts discussing. That's why I was talking about this. This is where Trump starts discussing TikTok. Now, this is what I want to say about. Actually, let me kind of preface this. So what you need to know is that Trump has done a 180. You need to remember that banning TikTok was 100% Trump's idea. Does everyone remember this? He was the one that pushed it. He was the one that was trying to force the sale. This was a big thing he was doing during his presidency. Now, Trump in February right? Why would Trump make a change of heart? Why would Trump be this weekend in Georgia and this morning on CNBC saying, whoa, 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 I don't think I want to force the sale of TikTok anymore? I mean, obviously his love of President Xi is one, but guess who Trump had a closed door meeting with in February? Right? A man named Jeff Yass. A man named Jeff Yass. Like, so he made his change of heart. Like this, and this isn't in the, let me read this and then I'll tell you where an article you can reference. He made his change of heart on TikTok public after he met in February with Republican mega donor Jeff Yass, who has a 15% stake in TikTok's parent company, ByteDance. According to Politico, Trump praised the investor at a Club for Growth retreat at the Breakers Resort. I've been to the Breakers in Palm Beach. Nice place. Great massages. Terrible makeup artist. Sorry. But anyway,
shout out.
But just understand what has happened. Trump has heard from somebody with money. And so for all of you people who think Trump's draining the swamp and isn't beholden to billionaires and doesn't care, that's not true. Selling TikTok, forcing a sale of TikTok, or like shutting it down, let's say in quotations, was always Trump's idea. Trump has now completely done a 180 because he had a closed door meeting with a man that owns a 15% stake of ByteDance. Trump's not draining any swamp. Trump is the swamp. Sorry, but I digress.
There are a lot of users. There's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad with TikTok. But the thing I don't like is that without TikTok, you can make Facebook bigger. And I consider Facebook to be an enemy of the people, along with a lot of the media.
Can we mute that for a second?
Facebook did.
Facebook is the only thing keeping this motherfucker alive, right?
Jay, he had to think up some. I know all his people are.
The only reason his
Facebook.
lies still exist is
about.
because of Facebook. Like it's become like every MAGA mom and grandpa's platform of choice. This guy should not be attacking Facebook. Like, if he wants to be upset, maybe TikTok, YouTube, the old X.
No, but that's not why. Jeff Yass said, because just understand that if you understand what's going on in the tech industry, Elon Musk has paid PR. Elon Musk, sorry. Mark Zuckerberg has paid PR firms, has paid security firms to dig up dirt on TikTok and to smear them publicly. So Jeff Yass, 15% stake owner in ByteDance, had a closed door meeting with Trump to say, like, this is stopping now. And so who would Jeff Yass, 15% stakeholder in ByteDance, want Trump to attack? Of course, Mark Zuckerberg. They have been smearing. He has been single-handedly paying firms to smear TikTok. So of course, now we have Trump marching out after years of being the man behind the plan to ban TikTok, is now like, oh, hold on a second. I actually believe the exact opposite of what I've been saying for years because I met with a billionaire who told me to change what I believe.
And this weekend, by the way, Trump came face to face with Mark Zuckerberg, literally face to face with Mark Zuckerberg. And because Trump is full of shit and he's an absolute pussy, he just fist bumped him. That's what they did. Trump's not going to say this because he's a coward. He doesn't like in-person confrontation. He likes doing it behind a microphone. But he had an opportunity this last weekend. He was on the same row of seats at UFC with Mark Zuckerberg. He could have talked to him at any time. He could do anything he wanted, but instead just a little fist bump to Mark Zuckerberg.
Do we need to start hanging out at UFC events?
Listen, it's one of the worst things for me because I love UFC. I think I know a lot of people don't like it, but I really enjoy watching the UFC, and it's just like a little bit of a MAGA event now. I will say this though, this was in Miami, and Trump walked in, and he usually gets massive applause. He did not get massive applause this time. It was relative. If you watch the crowd, there were a lot of people filming, but very few people were actually like standing up cheering. The music was loud, so it sounded loud. But I think that he's getting less and less popular. And I wonder, Dana White, who's the president of the UFC and brings him and puts him ringside whenever he wants, I wonder how that will age for this company.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's continue.
But the thing I don't like is that without TikTok, you can make Facebook bigger. And I consider Facebook to be an enemy of the people, along with a lot of the media. What Facebook did with lock boxes, with a $500 million Zuckerbuck's lock boxes that he put in. I mean, I consider illegal, but they put people in jail when they spend.
I don't know what he's talking
They put people
about.
in jail when they spend more than $5,600 in a campaign. They go to jail if they're $200. Look at Dinesh D'Souza.
Right.
They put him in jail over a couple of $100. And yet here's the guy spends $500 million and he doesn't go to jail.
Mr.
Very
President, though, is
interesting.
TikTok, but do you believe that TikTok is a national security threat or not? Because if it is, and I believe that the emergency powers order that you had put in place at the time suggested that it was that not true?
I do believe that. I do believe it. And we have to very much go into privacy and make sure that we are protecting the American people's privacy and data rights.
So just so you know, this man who started this whole thing met with the 15% stakeholder in ByteDance and is now singing a completely different tune. This man is a hypocrite. And again, he's not draining the swamp. He's taking meetings with the swamp and agreed to carry their water for them. Like, it's humiliating.
Do you know what the lock boxes are that he's talking about? I have no idea what
Yeah,
he's talking about.
they're hold on. Like, I was looking up Michigan, so they're voter boxes, I believe, and they specifically, I think they were in places like Michigan. Michigan SOS seeks to throw out Zuckerberg boxes lawsuit over private money for election operations. Like, they're it's about voting drop boxes. Like, Republicans are trying to prevent people from voting. Let's see. Attorneys for Michigan's Secretary of State's office asked a judge to dismiss a lawsuit alleging millions in private donations to local election clerks, much of it from Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg and his wife, damaged the integrity of the 2020 presidential election and violated the law. The lawsuit is one of the last remaining Michigan lawsuits, blah, 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 blah. That was this is years ago. Yeah, this is December 23rd, 2021. Again, if I didn't read the name of the article I'm looking at, Michigan SOS seeks to throw out Secretary of State. Sorry, I just realized what that stood for. Michigan Secretary of State seeks to throw out Zuckerberg boxes lawsuit over private money for election operations. So like foundations or whatever are donating money that are helping with election stuff. And there was a lawsuit about it. So it's just some more BS. It's just some more Trump, my 2020 election was stolen BS.
All right, so this was paid out in 2,500 grants. The money paid for apolitical needs, safety equipment, ballot drop boxes, surveillance cameras to watch drop boxes. These
Which
all
the
sound
Republicans
like Trump would
wanted.
love.
It's what the Republicans asked for. It is about election integrity. That's the funny part.
High-speed absentee ballot tabulators, absentee ballot prepaid postage and mailing costs, and voter outreach, but mostly for temporary staff, poll workers, recruiting, training, and hazard pay. So Mark Zuckerberg gave $400 million to help our government run their own elections more efficiently.
You need a tax break.
And Trump views them as the enemy. Got it. By the way, if TikTok went away, nobody's going to Facebook. The users of TikTok are not going to Facebook. They're going to go somewhere else. They're going to go to most likely YouTube or Twitch, somewhere where you have streaming and you have platform for video content anyways. It's not Facebook.
Did we
Who
address
just demonic-
everything in that clip? I feel like there's something we needed to address but didn't, but I can't remember what it is now.
Maybe. And also just leaving out the point that Facebook and Instagram will not push or monetize political content. So all these things that he's worried about, they would not go to Facebook.
No, but again, the point is the validity of the claim. The point is to smear Mark Zuckerberg because he has been smearing TikTok, and Trump had a closed-door meeting with the 15% shareholder of ByteDance. So it's just any way they could go after Mark. Now I guess Trump's going to be going after Zuckerberg, which should be an interesting fight in and of itself, right? Who knows?
Yeah, I hope
where
they
that
actually
will end up.
fight. Let me cover it real quick. Just comment. Patricia sent a donation and said, "Let's talk about gross." Melania had Stinky's baby. Ew. Thank you.
Gracias, Patricia.
I like that we're calling him Stinky now. I do like that.
What was I going to say? I had some news, some tea about Melania. What was it? I didn't put it in the outline, so don't worry about it. But, oh yeah, I was reading some article. Do you guys remember that jacket? That she was like, I don't care to you.
Yeah.
And so it's finally come out, like someone's books. I don't know if it's Melania's book. It's a book coming out about first ladies where she finally just says what all that's about. That jacket was an attack at Ivanka. Like, she was apparently in an ongoing feud because Ivanka, like, Melania didn't, and you guys can look this up. I'm sure there's article. I got this from some article, but Melania, remember, she obviously does not like her husband, and she moved into the White House like super late. Remember, she stayed with Barron in New York like as long as she could. So when she showed up in DC, who she started calling the princess, Ivanka, had taken over like some of the first lady's rooms and stuff like that. And she was like, what the? And so apparently, like, during the time, they were in a race for like PR, for time, airtime, for all sorts of things. And that was an attack at Ivanka, which is not surprising. And then they said, like, there was something that, like, after this jacket incident, because it turned into such a huge thing, and Trump like pulled those two in a room or something, like screamed at them, like, but yeah, I just thought everyone would find that interesting. No one can hear you, sweetheart.
Sorry, I muted it instead of unmuting. For our shared appreciation, this is from Abigail. For our shared appreciation of mixed martial arts, will you be watching UFC 300? I will. I would imagine that Felice will not.
No, I don't have a problem with mixed martial arts. Like,
I just don't think you really watch it, right?
Well, no, my sister was like a state kickboxing champion, like taekwondo, really? Like all of that. Yeah, like all of that stuff. So it's not. And my dad was a boxer. Like that's one of the, Mexicans. They love to box. I'm actually a boxing fan, truly. I'm a Canelo Alvarez fan. Like, if awesome. Canelo Alvarez is ever boxing, the Mexican ginger, you will find me watching.
It's really shocking when you see Canelo Alvarez for the first time and then you hear him speak. It's just not what you expect.
Yeah, this is going to come as a shock to people, but there are white Mexicans and there are brown Mexicans. Like, I'm part indigenous Mexican. That's where the brown comes from, because I'm actually from an indigenous tribe. But Spanish colonization means, there are blonde-haired, blue-eyed Mexicans running around.
Yeah.
This
some
is
of them
a good
are very
lesson.
Good at boxing.
Yeah, because the southern border makes some people in this country have a different idea of what is happening in Mexico.
There was some internalized racism there by me. There was. Yeah. Thank you for pointing that out.
More specifically, they cited the January 6th insurrection. Under your presidency, if you are reelected, what can you tell us about how stable the U.S. will be, especially as it appears that you are stoking some political divide? You held a rally in Waco, Texas.
Wait, I think I didn't start. We didn't hear the beginning of this. I just remembered how important this is.
You have to be able to talk to them properly. Our people don't know how to talk to them.
U.S. to a AA over the summer.
Okay, yeah. This is about. Is this woman is asking Trump about when our credit rating was lowered, and the reason it was lowered, if you guys don't know this, specifically what they named in the report was January 6th. like that's why they lowered our credit rating, was because Trump, and she's asking him about that.
Talk to him.
Power. When Fitch downgraded the U.S. to a AA over the summer, they specifically cited the increasing polarization, declining governance over the past 20 years. But more specifically, they cited the January 6th insurrection. Under your presidency, if you are reelected, what can you tell us about how stable the U.S. will be, especially as it appears that you are stoking some political divide? You held a rally in Waco, Texas, and you're sort of playing to this polarization of groups here.
Well, when I had the rally in Waco, we had 100,000 people show up.
Sure you did.
Which has nothing to do. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Like, this is nothing to do. He just needs to point out a lot of people come to his rallies.
The rally, I'm like a businessman, politician. You go where the people are, and I go to places. We had a tremendous rally this weekend We're having rallies in Michigan.
Yes. So he's saying, I go to where my people are. Waco, Texas. He was just in Rome, Georgia. If you guys don't know, that's the backwoods. That is Marjorie Taylor Greene's district. So yes, he is going where his people are. That is very true.
These are bigger than they've ever been. We have, as soon as the season gets a little bit warmer, when we can do the.
She's asking him about our national credit rating being lowered, and they cited in the report the reason why was January 6th, and he's talking about how big his Trump rallies are.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you brought that up because there were 100,000 people. I'm trying to find the numbers. The last time Trump was in Waco, there was 12,000 people there, so I'm going to guess not 100,000, but.
So right now, there's no arena that can hold.
Does it matter to you that we are downgraded, that we've been downgraded?
She just interrupts and she's like, excuse me. Like, he's just talking about attendance at his rallies, and this woman's like, excuse me.
Gets a little bit warmer when we can do the outdoor. Right now, there's no arena that can hold.
Does it matter to you, though, that we are downgraded, that we've been downgraded, and that our credit rating could be at further risk? Should there be further political polarization?
Because of January 6th. We get downgraded because of.
He said it's not because of January 6th.
No,
well, they specifically named January 6th as the reason. But go on.
Yeah.
We're just telling you what they said. Their reason for lowering our credit score.
Competent people, very incompetent people doing incompetent things.
Yes, there are.
As far as the dollar is concerned, we're losing countries. Don't we lose Iran? We lose this one. We have Russia that's out. We have many, many countries that we throw out of the system, and we can't lose that system. That system is the dollar. That system is a very important system to the vitality and strength of our country. If we ever do lose that, they take out Russia.
What the fuck is he talking about?
China would love to be.
What is he saying right now?
Leader.
That's what I'm saying. Nothing. There's no answer. Like, you caused the entire United States credit rating to be lowered. Like,
what system is he
answer
talking
the question.
about?
He's talking about the dollar again. He's talking about the strength of the U.S. dollar.
That's why he
he's
said
saying.
the dollar? Jesus.
Yeah.
Many, many countries that we throw out of the system, and we can't lose that system. That system is the dollar. That system is a very important system to the vitality and strength of our country. If we ever do lose that, they take out Russia. China would love to be, the leader of the pack is China, because they'd love to take it over. And it will be possible to take it over if we're not strong. We have to hold countries in. And if countries want to get out, we're going to have to say, well, if you want to get out of our system and go to, let's say, a Russian version or your own version, then we're not going to do any trade with you. And they'll be back in about 2 seconds. But it depends on who's posing that statement to whoever it is, the leader, like you're dealing with Macron.
Which is a thing. Like, just know that is what the U.S. does now. Like, please understand, like, any time that someone doesn't cooperate with us in the way we want them to, we turn them off. We either impose tariffs or we lower their, we force the value of their currency to be lowered. Like, we're basically extorting people, like, to keep our currency high, pretty much on the regular.
Yeah. What was that, the end?
No.
Oh, I was going to say, he hasn't made his point
the
yet.
leaders, you have to be able to talk to them properly. Our people don't know how to talk to them.
When Fitch downgraded.
That was the end. It's just he's saying he's gonna continue extorting people. Like,
nobody. Why? This is what's frustrating about this country. Like, we live in a country where the overwhelming narrative is that, like, Joe Biden doesn't make any sense. Like, this guy can't answer. He literally cannot answer a question. He has no idea what anybody is talking about at any given time. He knows nothing about what's actually happening in our country. He doesn't know how our government operates. He doesn't know anything. And yet the narrative has become Joe Biden is too old. Joe Biden doesn't make any sense. This is insane to me. Like, that is a normal Trump interview, but that type of gobbledygook, like, he has no idea.
Gobbledygook?
Yeah, he has
That's
no
funny.
idea what she's talking about.
As do none of the rest of us. Is Drew opposition in the...
Yeah. Go ahead, Drew. Hey, Drew.
Hi, Drew.
Hey, Drew.
Hey, how are you?
Good, man. How are you doing?
Good.
What's up?
Hold on.
Okay. Whatever you're putting up's okay. Okay, just making sure.
Take a look at the Finch rating and why they were downgraded.
We can't see that.
Put me in the big box. That's from the AP. Where is it citing anything about January 6th?
It was a direct quote. She had the quote. So
they were quoting it. Why are you asking us? What? I think you're trying to fact check CNBC.
Well, this would make sense if you go back there. Like, wait, go back to that quote, Drew.
Okay.
Citing rising debt at the federal, state, and local levels, and a steady deterioration in standards of governance.
Yeah, over the past 20 years.
Yeah, would that not include count? January 6th?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's probably included. I don't know if I don't know that she's saying like it was just January.
Yeah,
6th,
no, you can look
obviously.
it up. Finch triggers new January 6th political battle with U.S. rating cut. It's right here. I just found it. There's a Politico article. Let's see. Finch rating said it lowered the U.S. debt rating in part because of erosion of government governance. The latest credit downgrade is giving the White House a new reason to denounce Republicans for January 6th. In an announcement that hit almost simultaneously with Trump's indictment, Fitch Ratings on Tuesday said it lowered the U.S. debt rating by a notch in part because of erosion of governance. The Biden administration blasted the decision as off base, but focused blame on Republicans because of concerns that Fitch has raised about January 6th. And it goes on and on. But yeah, it's the first article that comes up.
Okay.
Do you have any concerns that Donald Trump seems incapable of answering your question?
I'm going to go to the bathroom really quick.
Yeah. Like, did that come off as bizarre to you at all? That she had to ask that question twice, and at no point did he ever address it? Except for to say it had nothing to do with January 6th, which it appears he's very wrong about.
What didn't I address? You talking about me?
No, Trump in his response. Yeah. Does it concern you that, like, we've played probably 10 clips now where the question he's asked and the answer he gives make no sense together?
No, I agree with you. And I think he finds any opportunity to when he gets questioned on the media, to use it as a platform for himself. And he doesn't answer questions. I agree with you. Look, I'm not saying the guy's perfect by far. Now going back to a civil fraud case, because that's what you originally had questioned my comment.
What was I don't remember what the comment was. What was it again?
I forgot.
Okay. Anyway, keep going then.
I don't know.
We have the same problem, Drew.
But the civil fraud case, I'm not saying, look, legally.
It was about other people. You had asked if anybody else.
Other people aren't getting.
There's been 8 in the last 3 years. There's been 8 in the last 3 years that have been charged with exactly what he did. There were 1,200 opportunities to charge, but only 8 people got charged with it.
With the exact same thing, with no lender calling it fraud, or no investor, or
Yeah, what they're saying is that those charges generally aren't a standalone charge. Like, usually that won't be the number one charge. And there's only 8 instances where the charges, I had the US codes up yesterday, but that exact code was like the overarching charge. So that's only happened 8 times in the last, I think it was 3 years. I could pull it back up, but.
So I know what, look, I'm not like your standard person that votes for Trump. I know why he got indicted for it. It was because Michael Cohen's testimony saying that he did that.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why they looked into it. Right. Otherwise, it is. And whether it's right or wrong could be debated all you want, but it is general practice to play the game with the lender saying that, okay, I'm worth this much. They look at it, they give him a haircut, say, no, you're only worth 2.3 billion. And then they lend based off of that. That happens all day long, every day. Is it a crime? Technically, if you look into it and look at what he submitted to the lender, yeah. But
could I turn it back on you? Could you show me any person in the history of New York that that inflated their assets the way he did. Specifically, if we look at just his New York penthouse, Trump Tower penthouse, it was 10,000 square feet. He listed it at 30,000, and then they also valued a development that hadn't happened yet. They hadn't built yet. They valued it as a completed development. Can you name any other case?
How would I possibly be able to name personal business of some other corporation? It's impossible.
Well, see, that's the point, right?
It's impossible.
See, so the defense of Donald Trump is, oh, this never happens to anybody else. They're just picking on Trump. But if I ask the return question, well, who else did this? Nobody can answer it. So how can you make the claim that everybody does this?
Well, what I'm saying is it's an industry term to give a haircut to a net worth of a high net worth individual as for lending purposes, right? That's a standard term.
That's what the lender does normally,
you said
right?
You said you're worth 4.8. We say you're worth 2.3. We gave you a 50% haircut. We'll lend it based on that, based on our underwriting,
sure,
and based on what we looked at as far as what we feel the value of assets are.
Yeah, but that's not really what happened here, right? Like
that's exactly what happened.
No, Donald Trump overinflated his assets so that he could have a net worth over $2 billion in order to secure better funding at lower rates. Again, like everybody says, I know the MAGA talking point is that there were no victims, but everybody. Hold on, let me finish real quick. Everybody keeps saying there were no victims. Like anybody who is invested in Deutsche Bank was a victim.
Why do you say that?
Because he used fraudulent numbers to secure funding at a lower rate. So if the interest rate would have been higher, Deutsche makes more money. They have a fiduciary responsibility to anybody invested in that company to do the right thing. They did the right thing for Donald Trump, but not necessarily for the lenders, right?
Wait, let me say a couple. Let me add two other victims. Like the other victim is whoever is number two in line for that rate, right? Like he was getting private billionaire, like private high roller loan rates. The other people that are disenfranchised are the next people in line. Trump had no business and did not qualify. He did not have the capital to qualify for the rates that he got. And my second point of who was harmed, and in doing so, when you are getting rates that you are not financially qualified to have, everyone else in the marketplace are eating the cost of that. Like we have to pay the risk. They are factoring in risks. This is part of that. And then we all pay that cost.
Deutsche Bank sells off their loans to the secondary market, okay, in mortgage-backed securities. And then investors buy that mortgage-backed security. Okay, so I don't know who the victims are. They decide to buy mortgage-backed security based on an interest rate that they know that they don't know.
That's unrelated. That's unrelated to what we're talking about.
So you're trying to tell me that Deutsche Bank holds on to these in house?
Not necessarily mortgage-backed securities, but this isn't a mortgage-backed security.
It becomes a mortgage-backed security, or else they would run out of money and they wouldn't be able to relend.
A mortgage-backed security, and I'm not an investor, but just in my time studying what happened in 2008, maybe I'm wrong about this, but a mortgage-backed security, from my understanding, is basically an investment that is in mortgage loans, and it's a conglomeration of multiple mortgages put together in one security that can be traded. This has nothing to do with that. This wasn't a mortgage.
What do you mean it wasn't a mortgage? Of course it was a mortgage.
For what?
I don't know. What he ended up using the money for. What did he use the money for? It wasn't just
what's a mortgage for?
A private loan.
A mortgage is for a home.
A mortgage could be for a home, for a business, for a commercial property. It doesn't matter.
Mortgage-backed securities are residential mortgages that are put together
there's commercial mortgages too. So you're trying to tell me that if you buy a property that's commercial, it's not considered a mortgage?
I don't believe so. I could be wrong on that.
Yes, of course it is.
Is that true? Does anybody know if that's true?
Yeah.
I've never heard a commercial loan called a mortgage. I've taken a commercial loan. Nobody called it a mortgage.
It's a mortgage. What is a mortgage?
I don't think it is. I think a mortgage specifically relates to a residential property. I can look it up real quick. I have the benefit of having I'm
looking up. Commercial mortgage loans are similar to traditional mortgage loans, but instead of borrowing money to buy residential property, you secure any land or property for commercial purposes.
Exactly.
Yeah, but he wasn't. I don't believe.
Yeah, he wasn't. That's not what we're talking about, though, right?
I don't know. I think it would have to depend if it was collateral. But anyway, either way, he committed a crime. There's at least 8 other people who did the same crime and who were prosecuted. I think that this is, if we're being honest, like I think this is desperation mode for MAGA. Like,
no, but it's really not because
hold on, let me finish. Let me just finish, Drew. Just let me finish the sentence. I think it comes off as extremely desperate. We're talking about a man who is committing crimes, who's defrauding the state, who defrauded a bank, and was also, I believe, charged with insurance fraud. And you guys are defending it by saying like, oh, well, lots of people do it. Well, why do you want a criminal? Why do all these Republicans want to put up a criminal? You have Nikki Haley sitting there; she'd be fine.
This is what I'm saying. You know, like it or not, this is the way the mortgage industry works. Okay, and the fact that
they're saying it doesn't. No, that's wrong.
The only
mortgage industry doesn't. The mortgage industry. I worked in real estate. I had a real estate business. I was not allowed to triple the size of my property to secure a loan.
Go ahead. Say it again.
So I used to do, like refurbish homes, but sometimes we would use like a property that we had as collateral. I was not allowed to triple the size of my. I couldn't triple the square footage to obtain a loan. I was not allowed to do that. That's fraud.
But he wasn't cross collateralizing the other properties.
No. I said no. He used all of his properties as part of his financial disclosures, and he tripled the size of his New York City penthouse. Is that fraud or not?
And he got a 50% haircut after.
Is it fraud or not?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yes, technically it's fraud.
Okay,
I'm not.
So why are we defending it?
I'm not defending him. I'm just telling you how business works when it comes to real estate.
I worked in real estate. I've never done that once.
I currently have a mortgage company that lends strictly commercial loans.
And are you allowed to triple the size of your property?
No.
In order
Look.
Okay, then what are we talking about here? Then
we expect the borrower to be true and honest in their disclosures. However, more times than not, after the lender does their underwriting and does their own due diligence, they do what's called a haircut. They say, okay, we're not comfortable with that number. We're comfortable with this number, and this is our terms on the loan. Take it or leave it.
But that's not relevant here because the bank isn't the person suing Donald Trump. It's the state. He broke the law.
Exactly.
See, in this country, you are not allowed to commit fraud to enrich yourself. It doesn't matter if the bank's in on it with you or not. Even to all of us, why is it fair that Donald Trump gets to fraudulently change his financial disclosures so that he can accrue more money? You and I can't do that.
Cut it in half.
I'm asking a specific question. What the bank did doesn't matter. Whether the bank issued it, even if the bank denied him the loan, it's still a crime. It's still fraud. You get that, right? Like,
no, I understand.
What the bank said did doesn't matter. Nothing that the bank did matters in any of this.
What I'm saying is, if they got a special investigator to look at mortgage loans, okay, especially high net worth commercial loans, and scrutinize it the way they did with Trump, an incredible amount of people would be getting civil fraud suits.
Yeah, that's why they defund the IRS, defund the SEC. Yeah, because these people, yes, very much. We should start holding billionaires committing fraud accountable at any moment. That would be a great idea, I think.
Okay, as long as we're aware of that.
But if this was any other billionaire, you wouldn't give a flying fuck. The only reason anybody cares is because it's Trump and they want to vote for him.
Well, the only reason why this even came out, why this was even considered a crime, was because Michael Cohen told on him. Basically, that's what it was.
Because Trump tried to throw him under the bus.
Because there was no other person that was complaining. Nobody was complaining about the business.
Yeah, nobody knew. Yeah, you're right. But again,
Deutsche Bank was fine with it. The only time they weren't fine with it was after January 6th, and they decided they wanted to pull away from it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I still think billionaires should be beholden to the law. Do you not?
Let me give an example. Like, Drew, think about this. Like, when there are victims of grape or SA, and a lot of times they'll file charges and say, this happened to me. And then as a result, because a lot of these crimes are familial, right? Or it's people we know who are in relationships with us. The victim will then recant and say, oh, no, I want to drop the charges. I don't want to press charges.
That wasn't the case.
No, let me just finish. But the state, right, is the one bringing the charges. The state is the one with the evidence. And regardless of if the victim, which in this case would be Deutsche Bank, wants there to be charges pressed, feels like they were wronged or not, the state presses forward if they have the evidence. That is the reality of how the justice system works. I'm just drawing a comparison.
No, and I'm not saying technically. Look, Michael Cohen's very smart. He felt like a scorned teenager.
He is really smart. Yeah.
You know,
No, he went to jail. Hold on, tell it like it is.
Criminally.
Wait, hold on, tell it like it is. He went to jail for a crime that he was listed as a co-conspirator on. And the co-conspirator was Donald Trump. And Michael Cohen went to jail and nothing happened to Trump. Let's not diminish it and say scorned teenager. Imagine you committed a crime with a friend, but because who your friend was, your friend didn't go to jail and you did. And then your friend went on the media and slammed you and called you a liar and said that you were a criminal and that you couldn't be believed. You wouldn't turn? You wouldn't at that time be like, all right, fuck this, I'm going to tell the truth.
Well, it's not a matter of telling the truth. He's basically just...
Well, he told the truth.
He's implicating the real estate industry on that level. That's what he's doing.
Great. Take down all the billionaires. All of them. Take them all down. What's wrong with that? You don't want billionaires to be held accountable.
No, I do. But you know what? That's not happening.
Just not this one.
That's not happening.
It's just not this one. This is the billionaire that you don't want. Well, certainly billionaires have been held accountable in the past.
Let's see if it starts happening, because now it's in the ether, right? Now this is general business practices. Everybody knows about it.
All right, well, let me ask you this then.
Let me ask you this. Donald Trump programs. Let's see how many cases now go forward beyond the Trump case.
Well, let me ask you this
and then we'll see whether or not it was political or not.
Well, it doesn't matter if it's political. Donald Trump campaigned on this idea that the whole system was corrupt for the rich people, and he was going to drain the swamp, and he's going to be there for the working man. Like, he's there for the everyday American, and the everyday American that still is voting for him is standing up and be like, hey, this is just what happens with billionaires. We got to let them be. Like, who possibly could be a better lesson for billionaires to stop fucking over the American people than them seeing a former president taken down?
You have to understand, it's not fucking over the American people when the lenders are complicit with it. What they do is
it is fucking over the American people. Yes, it is.
Okay. So
you think the banks fucked us in 2008?
$150 million loans lost out. Now you're defending other billionaires? They lost out on that rate, the other 150.
No, I want to hold them all accountable. But you were asking who No, I was giving you examples of who the victims are in a marketplace. Yeah, I understand. I said the person in line for the person who genuinely could qualify for that rate. Yeah, I'm saying Trump fraudulently qualified for a loan, and the next person in line absolutely was defrauded by Trump. You just said there was no victims, and I'm pointing out angles of who I'm pointing out angles of who the victims are. That's all I'm saying.
But what I'm saying is, I don't think you understand the industry. Deutsche Bank doesn't use their own money, and
I do understand the industry.
It just doesn't. What they do is they sell it off in the secondary.
What does that have to do with this?
Meaning that there's nobody that's getting hurt. That money that was allocated towards Trump.
Why is the next bank who buys the loan, who is buying a loan based on fraudulent paperwork, why are they not a victim then?
But they're not based. It's not based on fraudulent paperwork because they already gave him a 50% haircut. They adjusted it correctly.
No, who says who? Where are you coming up with that 50% haircut number?
He made it up. He's talking about what he thinks happens in the industry.
Hold on,
well, then explain it. But even if they did, but Drew, pull it up. But even if they did Trump commit fraud? Yes or no?
All right, but now see how you keep on changing it once.
To the crime that he's. You see, you're talking about the banks, but Drew, the banks. But Drew, the banks aren't.
And I've already conceded that it was technically fraud.
Drew, not in the middle of my sentence, please. The banks are not involved in the case. The state is suing Donald Trump for fraud. We can talk about banks all day, but it does not matter. They're not part of this case. The banks can sue him if they want to. And frankly, you probably have some investors in the bank that could sue the bank. frankly, there's probably a lawsuit there. But you guys keep talking about the banks to obfuscate from the fact that he committed fraud, he broke the law, and the state is holding him accountable. And what he's being held accountable for is all the money that he made from the fraud. Do you think that you should be able to commit fraud and earn a bunch of money and then keep that money as long as the bank doesn't care?
Now, this is what I'm saying.
No, you got to answer that question, then you can move on. Do you think that you should be able to commit fraud and then you keep the money if the bank doesn't care?
Wait, what?
If you commit fraud, do you think you should be able to keep that money if the bank that gave you a loan doesn't care?
No.
Okay, well, that's for committing fraud, and it does not matter what the bank says.
If Deutsche Bank lent on the numbers that he gave, then there would be a defrauded amount. But they looked at his documents, they looked at his assets, and they said, no, you're not. It's not worth 4.6 or whatever number it was.
Why are we talking about the bank? We just agreed the bank isn't part of this lawsuit. Why are we still talking about the bank?
What was the question? What did you just say again?
Why are we talking about the bank? This is New York State versus Donald Trump.
Saying that he enriched himself based on the fraud that he perpetrated on.
He did. Am I right? He made a lot of money.
Okay, this is what you're saying. But what I'm saying is the number that he put into the documents at $4.5 billion was not what he was lent on.
Doesn't matter. Did he lie on the documents?
But he was lent on the correct.
It doesn't
number.
matter. The bank is not part of this lawsuit. I don't know how many more times I have to say this.
If the money was borrowed based on the true numbers that Deutsche Bank came up with.
If $0 were borrowed, if Deutsche Bank said no, you can't have this loan, did Donald Trump still commit a crime?
Yes.
Okay, then why the fuck are we still talking about the bank?
Oh, okay.
Because and here's why we're talking about the bank, Drew.
Hold on, Drew. You were genuine in your argument. You just want to win the argument.
Drew, the reason we're still talking about the bank is because you guys are trying to justify voting for a criminal. And that's why. Because the bank has absolutely nothing to do with this case. You've admitted it. They talked about it in court. The bank showed up at court and they were like, we'd loan to him again. They're like, great, he still committed fraud. Nobody fucking cares. And then there was the crime, right? If the bank mattered at all, if the bank mattered, I'm not done, Drew. You got to wait till the sentence is over. If the bank mattered at all, that testimony would have been relevant, but it wasn't, because the fraud that he committed was submitting the paperwork in the first place. That's the crime.
So you moved the goalpost. That's cool.
No, I did not. I specifically have kept the goalpost in the exact same place.
No,
you just didn't understand what I was saying.
That he enriched himself on the loan.
He did.
He didn't.
Yes, he did.
Deutsche Bank lent him money on what they believed he was worth, not what he gave them.
And then he used the loan that Deutsche Bank gave him to grow his net worth, to buy more properties, and those property values rose over time. So from the time he acquired that loan, or from the time he committed the fraud and then acquired the loan, any dollar amount that he made after that, he has to repay back to the state, because you're not allowed to enrich yourself after committing fraud. You can't commit fraud to make money. And if you do, the state comes and says, give us all of that money.
I'm going to say it one last time.
Seen him? Well, let me give you an example. Let me give you an example here.
The money wasn't.
Let me give you an example here. Hold on, my friend. Hold on, my friend. Hold on.
They came up with, which was half.
Drew, hold on, my friend. You're still talking about the banks. Have you seen the movie American Gangster?
Yeah.
Okay, what happened at the end of American Gangster to the money that he had?
Remind me.
The FBI seized it all, right?
Yes.
Okay, why are they allowed to seize that money?
American Gangster. Are we talking about the
Denzel?
Denzel.
The Denzel
Don't
movie?
say illicit substance names, Drew.
Now, why were they able to seize all of his money and his assets?
Because he was an H dealer.
No, but why were they able to?
That's why.
Yes, he was, and that means what? That he acquired all of his property and his assets fraudulently, right? By breaking the law.
With H money, yes.
Yeah, it's the same thing here. If you commit fraud and if you acquire money after committing a crime, all the money you acquire has to be paid back.
Okay. Could I make my point without you interrupting me? Okay. So It's already been in the ether. We all agree that this is something, and you said that the billionaires, other billionaires, and other people that take advantage of this should be charged with fraud as well, right?
If they did it, if they did the same thing,
What I'm trying to tell you, see, you're not letting me talk. What I'm trying to tell you,
that's all, Drew.
What I'm trying to tell you is the way that the industry works is you put yourself in the best possible light. Okay, and that's wrong because that's considered fraud. I'm not saying that it's not, because you could technically, on its face right there, say, yep, that's fraud. But lenders don't look at it that way because they still want to lend the money, because that's what they do, because that's what banks do. They lend money. So they say, no, we're going to underwrite this. We're going to look at all the assets. We'll keep in mind what you have, but really we're going to base it on our own internal underwriting. And then based on their internal underwriting, they came up with 50% of what he actually said he was worth, and said, we're willing to lend.
Cool.
Right. So the 50% is more reality, because lenders aren't stupid. That's what they do for a living, and they're able to assess properties because that's what all they do every day.
Cool.
24/7. So you're saying that he enriched himself. If they would have lent it on the 4.5 billion rather,
then he'd be paying back more money than he is now.
Then I would agree with you.
Wait, hold on. He would just be paying back more money. It's the same crime either way. Are you saying that if they loaned? Wait, it's the same. Is it not the same crime, Drew? It's the same crime either way, just a different dollar amount.
But you're saying he enriched himself based on the inflation, but it wasn't.
No. He enriched himself based on so he used fraudulent numbers to acquire a loan. The fraud was making up those numbers. He did get a loan. It doesn't matter. Even if the loan had terrible terms on it and he still made money, it doesn't matter. What we're talking about now, Drew, is you're saying like, well, if he would have made more money, then I'd be upset. But because the bank gave him a $2 billion valuation instead of $4.5 billion valuation, then it's not a crime. But it's the same crime.
I'll get you to see it when you look at it like this. Okay. So he said he was worth let's say 4.5. I forget what it is. I think it's 4.6. I forget what it is, right? And then they came back and said
2.5. I think he had to be over $2 billion.
Deutsche cut it in half and lent him based on 2.3 billion. They said 4.6 is outrageous. 2.3 looks about right, and that's what we're gonna lend on based on your 2.3, right? So
based on fraudulent documents, right?
So right, okay. So if Trump just went in and said, I'm worth 2.3. And then they lent basically, they looked at it and they said, yeah, that's 2.3. That's right. Which is what it was based on. That's what the loan was based on, 2.3.
What if he went in and said, I'm worth 2.3 and they gave him 1.3?
No.
Is it still a crime? Is fraud still a crime?
You're changing my point.
I'm saying that the numbers you're putting up don't matter because initially there was a crime committed and that's what he's being charged for. All this other stuff of what the bank did, it's not relevant. If the bank said you were worth $100 million, it's still fraud.
He was trying to say he risked himself on fraud, but what happened was the lender corrected the fraudulent numbers and then lent him on the real numbers.
It doesn't matter. It does not matter.
So he didn't benefit from the fraudulent numbers.
It doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter. He did benefit. He got a loan. He benefited.
He got a loan.
He just didn't benefit maybe as much as he wanted to benefit, but it's still fraud.
Okay.
Well, you're saying Drew, you're saying like, listen, this guy tried to do a huge fraud, but then he only did 50% of that fraud because the bank decided to do some check-in on him. So he only defrauded 50% of what he originally set out to defraud. Drew, it's all still a fraud. Like what we have here is still fraud.
But Drew, the lender came up with the real and accurate number. The lender is not part of this lawsuit. I don't know why we're still talking about the lender. The crime that committed. Drew, hold on, let me finish. The crime that was committed, no matter what the lender did, whether they gave him the loan based on those numbers, whether they adjusted the numbers, whether they didn't give him the loan, no matter what had happened, he's still guilty of a crime. Now, what he has to repay is based on what the bank gave him, right? The only reason the bank ever comes into play is to determine damages, which is why before this case started as a bench trial, because his attorneys didn't ask for a jury trial, before the trial started, they had already ruled on the findings of facts, and this trial was basically to determine damages. The crime was so transparent and it was so easy that they already knew that the crime had been committed, and the entire trial was just figuring out what damages are. And I think you have a decent argument, Drew, that based solely on the fact that I don't know a great deal about this. Like, your argument would be a good argument if we were arguing how much the damages should be. Right. Which we could do, and you might know more than me. Your argument on damages. Wait, hold on. Good, but the fraud
this is not a damages case, though. Like we need to say very clearly. Hold on, let me just break in. This case is not a damages case. This is about calculating. You can read the math is mathing. Just read the judgment. This is about calculating what Trump made from his fraud. It's called he engorged himself with a bunch of money. They calculated how much, and then they disgorged him. They took it back.
Thank you. Yeah, good correction on the language there. Yeah, this was about how much he enriched himself. So your argument would go to say he should pay less.
Well, first of all, again, if it wasn't for Michael Cohen, this wouldn't even have came up. This happens every day, and it's political.
If Donald Trump didn't fuck a porn star and then lie about it while his kid was in the hospital and then use campaign funds to cover it up, Michael Cohen probably would have never testified. Like, whose fault is this really? Okay. I mean, that's why Michael Cohen got in trouble, because Trump instructed him to pay back the money, and then when Trump paid Michael Cohen back, billionaire Trump, he didn't even want to pay the 130 back to Cohen, so he used campaign funds.
Cohen did it on his own. Completely on his own.
Did what on his own?
He gave Stormy Daniels the money completely on his own.
No, Michael Cohen wrote the check to Stormy Daniels. It came from Michael Cohen. The check to Stormy Daniels was written by Michael Cohen. He went and he took out a second mortgage on his house.
I know the story.
And that's an illegal campaign contribution.
I'm not saying that that's wrong. I'm not saying that
well,
you're
you
wrong
blamed Michael Cohen, but it's Trump's fault.
Again, and Michael Cohen he went to jail for this, man. How much more could Michael Cohen do? Michael Cohen is loyal.
You're making an argument, not my argument. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is what happened was Michael Cohen's smart enough an attorney to know that these business practices that these big time investors do on a regular basis is technically fraud. But nobody says anything because the lenders correct it in underwriting. So that's why it's really not fraud, because the lenders will correct it.
Good. That's why I love Michael Cohen. He's pointing out that billionaires play by different rules than we have to. And now a billionaire is being held accountable, but you guys don't like it because you want to vote for him.
If it's not a political prosecution, then we should be seeing tons and tons of court cases coming up.
There were 8. How many people would qualify to even do what Trump did? How many billionaires are there that could actually even put together the assets to acquire this loan? It's like a handful of people in this country.
How many people have a portfolio of properties that they use as assets towards a bank and inflate it?
We don't know. Do you have other examples? Do you have other examples?
Because it's real estate is fluid. You can't even put it.
Do you know that for sure?
Until an appraiser goes out there.
What other examples can you show me of somebody that 3x'd the size of their property? We
already went through this. How am I supposed to know the internal workings of property?
Well, you're making the claim. Stop making claims if you can't back them up.
Well, I also don't want to, I have clients that I know have gotten haircuts.
Drew, let me ask you a question, though. This is my question. Like, you guys are always saying Trump's going to drain the swamp. Like, you yourself are sitting here admitting, like, Trump did a fraud. It's just you think he's only being punished for it because it's political. But this is the draining of the swamp, right? It is billionaires. It's the donor class making money fraudulently. Like, this
I voted for Obama twice because he basically gave.
But my question is, why don't Trump's crimes? Why don't you want Trump to be held accountable versus everyone else you think needs to be held accountable? Why not Trump?
I'm not saying he shouldn't be held accountable. What I'm saying is, it's clearly election interference to be putting these cases forward now, prior to the trial, as opposed to after the fact. And that's the one thing.
And we can go into the timing of this. Like, this case has actually, read Mark Pomerantz's book. They've been investigating this case, this fraud, what became of the Trump organization trial that Alan Weisselberg testified in, what became of this case, the Letitia James case, and what will be the Stormy Daniels hush money case. This has been investigated for years and years and years. You sound like you're from New York. I lived in New York City briefly. Like, when you live in New York City, you understand the deep hate that there is for Trump because of how many people specifically he has defrauded there. Like, we like the larger scene, the larger country has known less about Trump's frauds than they know intimately of his fraud in New York City. And Letitia James, remember, that is an elected position, right? You have to say, hey, I would like to be elected to this position. Here's my campaign promises. And yeah,
what was the
the people of New York City wanted Trump to be held accountable. Like you're saying that an elected official should get elected and not do what her constituents asked her to do. She brought the case they asked her to bring. That's what elected officials have to do to keep their position. Like she's working for the people of New York.
Right. Okay. For ultra liberal, neo liberal New York City liberals. That's who her base was. That's who got her in office. And yeah, and
it also includes. Don't you think that also includes moderate liberals and just moderate Democrats and never Trump Republicans? Why are you limiting it to like
liberals?
Literally everybody but MAGA wants this guy prosecuted. MAGA is this tiny minority when you're looking at the overall population in this country. It's only MAGA that is defending this. Nobody, MAGA and other billionaires who want to commit fraud. Everybody else is like, yeah, when billionaires commit fraud, we should probably prosecute. And I don't think if this wasn't Donald Trump, I think if this was Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates or any number of people,
you guys would be cheering it on. You guys would be. Come on.
Yeah, there wasn't a bunch of people like, Bernie Madoff's getting a real raw deal. Like the whole country was like, yeah, fuck that guy. And if Donald Trump wasn't president, every person in this country would be like, fuck that guy. If he was not political, you would not be defending him.
With people's life savings.
What?
He clearly hurt people.
No, I know, but I'm saying if Donald Trump wasn't the president, you wouldn't be defending him. If he had never been president, was not political, nobody would be defending him like this.
And me knowing what I know about real estate.
If someone was like, someone fraudulently enriched themselves of $450 million, you know what I mean? Like nobody would be like, oh, let's help him get off.
Well, this new appeal is based on the amount, on the fines, right?
Yes. Again, not that he didn't. They're only appealing the fine.
I'm not arguing that he didn't do it. I'm not arguing that he didn't do it. I never did. From the minute I walked up here, I said,
well, then why would you trust that guy to be president then?
Because I understand the industry and because it's technically fraud, it happens all day, every day. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. And, maybe the application should indicate that this is really a negotiation.
Okay. What about technically grape?
Okay. You want to talk about that case too?
I mean, we can, but I'm saying a jury found him liable of grape.
What grape victim puts on their social media how much of a fan they are of The Apprentice?
Probably a lot.
When does that ever happen?
Probably
when does
a
that
lot.
ever happen where
wait, hold on, Drew, you are treading in dangerous water. You are saying that a woman, as a sexual assault survivor, a grape survivor myself, you are saying that a woman, and trust me, you do not know the psychological damage that happens after you were raped. So, which is clear by how insensitive you were being. But I can say I like anything. Like your next argument is going to be, oh, well, she was talking about BDSM. I can say I like The Apprentice. I could say I have grape fantasies. All of that, I still have bodily autonomy and consent. If I do not consent to someone putting their finger inside me, then I have been raped. Do you understand that? It's a question of consent. I can say I like whatever I want. I can say I fantasize about whatever I want. I have autonomy. I decide who touches my body. If I don't consent to being touched, then I have been assaulted.
Right.
I'd also
now,
like
you guys realize that the DNA on the dress wasn't from sperm,
Drew,
right?
Real quick before we move on to that, I just want to give E. Jean Carroll's quote that you misquoted her on. She said, "I was a big fan of the show, very impressed by it. I had never seen such a witty competition on TV, and it was about something worthwhile, competing." She said, when asked about the parts with Trump and him firing people, she said, "I didn't watch that part." She also joked repeatedly and mocked Donald Trump on Twitter during the show. So it appears to me that she liked the way that the show was laid out. She liked the competition and she didn't like Trump. But again, you have chosen that as your talking point because you have decided that E. Jean Carroll is a liar. So ask yourself this. Why was your first defense of E. Jean Carroll an out of context tweet? Actually, Facebook post.
Just to show that, just to show the obvious. There was no talk.
And the obvious is that she liked the show, but not Donald Trump.
But there was no talk of any of this stuff until this guy decided to run.
Except for with her friends and her therapist, who both testified that over 30 years ago, she had told them this story long before Trump was president, long before this statute was removed. For decades, people knew this story and they kept it quiet. Her niece has been on this show to talk with us multiple times and said everybody in the family knew about it. But you, again, want to vote for Donald Trump, and so you're going to find any way to, instead of look at a man who credibly has been accused of a lot of awful things, is on tape bragging about doing this exact same thing.
And saying he can get away with it.
Yeah, you're defending him over a woman who you know nothing about, and a woman who got not only a judge, but a jury to agree that Donald Trump not only libeled and defamed her, but also raped her. Just to be clear, this was a jury trial, and you are convinced because you think everybody's after Donald Trump. Let's point out that the other crime we started with, which was fraud, he absolutely committed. We could also point out that he's not allowed to run a charity because he's
going to do it. Let him do it. Let him make this point.
Are you being disingenuous by saying that he raped her?
No,
because he was not.
You're gonna want to not do this. You're walking into a problem you don't want to have. But go on.
He was found civilly liable for more likely than not.
All right, go ahead, Felice.
I will direct you to an article because this is and this is all because of your talk of Trump's talking points, right? Trump's talking point of, oh, it's just sexual abuse, not grape. Well, because he tried let me finish, Drew, because you're not right. So we're going to read Judge Kaplan's words and correct that this is grape. So because he tried to use that in his appeal of this, and here, everyone can look up, and whenever someone says that E. Jean Carroll wasn't graped, we can use Judge Kaplan's words. Like the best way, there's an article called Judge Clarifies. Yes, Trump was found to have graped E. Jean Carroll. So you could just look that up. And the quotes in this article are from Trump's appeal, trying to point out that same stupid argument that is not true. And
I'm saying civil liability and criminal conviction are two different things. The bar is much.
Yeah, so a jury. And you know nothing about this because I can tell you haven't read the court documents. You've only heard Trump's defense of himself. But the only people on this earth that really have the facts of this case are that jury, right? And they sat there, him and a judge, and all agree, right, at this point, that Trump has graped E. Jean Carroll.
That he more likely than not graped E. Jean Carroll. That's the burden.
Sure, but you're taking the position that he didn't. So you're the one that's taking the position that is outside what the jury said. What you're doing is you're saying, oh well, because there's a little bit. Let me finish, please. First of all, these type of charges in a criminal trial are extremely difficult to prove. Extremely difficult to prove. I would ask you this: do you think O.J. Simpson was guilty or innocent?
I think he was guilty.
Okay, gotcha. And was he found guilty in a civil trial?
No, because you know what?
Wait. Yes, he was. He was found guilty in the civil trial.
Right.
Okay, so but you don't have a problem with that, right? I don't hear you making these excuses for OJ.
I'm not making
and it's one thing if Donald Trump was like this squeaky clean person, but since the 1970s, at least 25 women have accused him of either grape, SA, or sexual harassment, including non-consensual kissing or groping by at least 25 women. How many accusations do you have against you? How many do I have against me?
I would contend that high net worth individuals.
Name another one. Name another one with 25. Name another one with 25.
Drew, at what point do you believe that women have been assaulted by men? At what point do women get believed? A jury of E. Jean Carroll's peers looked at the evidence and found him liable of grape. Those are the facts.
He was more likely than not to commit
liable of grape. You can say it.
Liable, right? Which means more likely
liable of grape. So a jury of his peers, that's what happened. Those are the facts. At what point do you believe women? I'm not even talking about, we're talking about someone who had their case adjudicated, right? But most women's claims never get to that point because of people like you and what you're doing now, shaming women. That's why that's why I never reported my rape, because of what you're doing right now.
That's why you never reported it? Is that why?
Yeah, that's what she said, dude.
Okay.
Who are the other people that have had at least 25 accusations against them that were innocent?
Russell Brand's are definitely moving up.
Yeah, and Russell Brand. I've seen text messages for Russell Brand apologizing for assaulting a woman. He apologized. They have the text messages. He's clearly guilty.
So that's going to come through, and he's guilty of sexual assault.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to say that. I got to say SA.
I don't know what the real rules over. Just
say SA.
It'd be great if you said SA. That'd be easier. But yeah, have you seen the text messages from that woman?
No, I haven't. I haven't seen anything.
Okay, let me tell you the story. She walked into Russell Brand's house. Russell Brand comes walking out of the shower with no clothes on. He says, and he just grabs her and he starts kissing her, and she's trying to get away, and he won't let her do it. And then he tries to convince her to go into the bedroom where there is another person waiting as well. And he forcefully tried to pull her in, and eventually she broke free and she went home. And at about 3:00 in the morning, she got an apology from Russell Brand saying, "I'm so sorry. Like I that got out of control. I promise I'll make it up to you." She's like, "You're sick. You have a problem. That was scary. You have no idea how scary you are when you get like that."
Okay.
Innocent?
Well, I don't know.
Did you hear Drew say? Did you hear Drew say? I don't know anything about it, but he's defending Russell Brand because Drew does not believe women. Automatically, he does not read court documents. He doesn't look up the facts of cases. Drew automatically disbelieves women. This is why women are in the position that we're in now.
I think no. This is don't even say that, because that's not true at all. When Donald Trump became a candidate for the presidency, all of a sudden, out of the blue, this didn't happen beforehand. This happened then. All these people came forward. His first accusation was in the 1970s. Well, that's what it looked like to me, and that's
because you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
You don't do any research.
The accusation started in the 70s. How about the accusation of him when he ran the Miss Teen USA pageant?
This guy was all over the press constantly. How come I didn't hear about it?
Miss Teen USA pageant. The women accused him long before he was political of walking into their dressing rooms unannounced. Teenagers. Miss Teen USA, Donald Trump walking into their dressing room unannounced, making comments about their bodies long before he was political. The problem that you have, Drew, is that you believe people first based on their political leanings, which is exactly why you went to Russell Brand, because Russell Brand became this conservative hero because he was anti-vax, which is why all of you guys all of a sudden are defending Russell Brand. Nobody should be surprised that those accusations came out about Russell Brand. Did you watch Russell Brand? Is it possible that Russell Brand is a changed man? Sure. Should he be held accountable for that? Yes, absolutely. And we have unequivocal proof that he did the same with Andrew Tate, same with Donald Trump. And yet all of these people, every time they come forward, you guys go ahead and you start smearing the women. You know nothing about it, and yet you chose to smear E. Jean Carroll rather than believe that Donald Trump did something wrong. What the fuck does that say about you, Drew? Drew, what does it say about you that you believed the lies about E. Jean Carroll? What does that say about you?
What does it say about me? You tell me.
It says that you don't care about women and that you will believe anything as long as it fits your narrative that Donald Trump's what's best for this country. You will believe that he's a good guy. You'll believe that he didn't hurt women, despite the fact that we have 50 years of accusations against him. Who else has 50 fucking years of accusations against them? Who else?
And based on one conversation, you'll be able to figure out all kinds of evidence about the background of somebody based on one conversation. You are, my friend, you have a gift. You have a gift to
Yeah,
be
it's
able
called
to
yeah,
break
it's called
down
being literate
my
and reading. My
morality and how
gift is that I
feel
read
about one
things
instance
and I don't spout
I
things
can't
off
believe
until I know what
how
I'm talking
intelligent you
about.
are.
It's not a gift.
You really
Everybody
should- you
can
should
do
probably
it.
run
You
for
can
president. I
read
think
too,
you're the
Drew.
answer to
You can
everybody's
just
problem.
read things.
No, I really believe that you might have it all. Based on what you're telling me, you're able to break down my morality and how I feel about every case.
Oh,
Based
now
on
see, now
one
this is now
one-
here's
one
like male
little
fragility here.
conversation.
Now that Drew
You
has been
are
dunked on and has
amazing.
no
I
answer,
can't
what
believe how
Drew's going to
amazing you
do is now Drew's going to
You're
start
super
trying to be
smart.
like, "Oh,
I
you
can't
think
believe how
you're
smart
so
you are.
smart, Drew? You got
You were
dunked on, and
able
this is
to
what all
break
you
down
conservatives do after
this
you get
thing I was
dunked on.
hiding
You're going to
inside
rage
myself
quit soon.
for
But
SA
before you
victims
rage
that I
quit,
really
I
didn't
want
want
you to
anybody to
know
know
that I have
how I
a
don't
daughter,
believe any
and
of them.
I'm going to
That
mute
was
this real
amazing.
quick. Drew, I want you to know that before you rage quit, I have a daughter, and it terrifies me that my daughter is growing up in a world
I have 3
with
daughters.
people like, well, then your daughters need to talk to you because you're not willing to protect your daughters. And
Is that
heaven
right?
forbid your daughters are a victim someday.
Wow.
And just imagine your daughter's a
Look at the
victim
shaming
from a guy who
over
has
a simple
25
conversation
charges
and
against him,
questioning a
and
point.
she has to go out
You
every
broke down
single
my
day.
morality to
Imagine
being
it's a famous
an
person,
essay.
Drew. Imagine that it's a famous person coming after your daughter, and there are people all over the TV and strangers like you coming up and saying,
yelling,
"Oh, her
the more
daughter was
you
asking
yell
for
doesn't
it.
make
Her
your
daughter
point."
was asking for it. Look at these
Yeah.
tweets. Imagine if
Her
that
daughter
little
like The
kid-
Apprentice. Her daughter like The Apprentice.
Yeah.
That imagine if it was your daughter. Truly think about it. Like what's happening and how she's being railroaded. Imagine if it was your child. That's
And most of the time, the abuser is somebody that they know, Drew. And most of the time, you're not going to be around somebody that you know that you don't like. So there's always going to be evidence that they used to like this person. Drew, wait till the end of the sentence.
denier
Drew,
because I
wait
asked
till the
questions.
end of the sentence. Drew,
Got it.
there will always be evidence from victims that at one point they liked the person who attacked them. There will almost always be evidence of that.
Really?
Think about your daughters.
and
Think
psychologically,
about-
let me
Thank
tell you
you.
what happened to me, Drew. This is like not the whole story. This will take 5 seconds. Like not going there. But like what happens after psychologically, because you have to convince yourself you're not a victim, right? Like you will convince yourself of anything. Like I was in fear because like I said, I knew the person and I knew what they were capable of, and I had to convince him that I wasn't going to be a problem for him, because if I was a problem,
awful. I'm
something
really sorry.
horrible. Well, I'm just saying. So like this is just the fact. So I'm saying like sure, I was like, oh, everything's okay. Like I'm not going to tell anyone because I was very fearful of him. So of course I can't report because someone's going to bring up those text messages and say, why did you do that? Well, I was in fear that he was going to come after me because I've seen him do it to other people. Like that's the reality of the situation. So of course there's always going to be evidence. You don't understand psychologically the place you have to go to in your head to deal with that kind of stuff. Like, so, and that's the other point. Like I was hearing Nancy Mace on ABC This Week yesterday say that E. Jean Carroll was laughing after the verdict. Whether if a rape victim wants to laugh, cry, scream, bang your head against the wall, curl up into a ball, give up, like there is no wrong way to respond to that type of anguish.
Okay. And I'll tell you that, but I take offense to say that I am for or I'm an apologist for essayers, because that's ridiculous. That's completely ridiculous. And me just bringing up a point in a conversation to try to say my morality isn't putting my morality in check and how I feel about SA victims based on the fact that I gave one bit of evidence saying that it's odd. I'm not saying that it's right or wrong, but it's odd that an SA victim is touting the show of her SA accuser. That's all. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
But Drew, the point, Drew, but the point is, Drew, hold on.
Morality.
The point is that you chose to make that point in defense of Donald Trump. You didn't bring up the fact that Donald Trump has been accused of this multiple times.
I did.
The only thing you did is your initial response was to cast doubt on the victim's story. That was your first response. And I'm telling you, as somebody who's had to be corrected on this, you and I, Drew, we live in a world, we are men. It is a fear for men that they will be wrongfully accused. And that's fair. And that's fair for men to want.
Fear for men.
That's and that's look.
Yeah, come back up.
Disconnect. I would never want to be falsely accused. But what that means we can't do is that we can't go around assuming everybody else is falsely accused, because that's what we're most afraid of. Like that's the problem that we have here, is that people are projecting their own fears of being falsely accused and now taking a case where there's tons of evidence that this is a horrific man. And we're saying to like, oh, well, despite the evidence, we're just going to assume that he's innocent.
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, you're saying that he definitively did it, and I'm saying that through a civil liability.
No, we said a jury found him liable. But Drew, my point is that the vast majority of SA and grape cases don't even make it to a police statement, because women know that already from jump that men will cast doubt on our story. It's initially to just say, well, she wanted it. Well, she was texting him after. Well, that it doesn't matter what you do. Like you will be put on trial immediately. So for her to actually get to a jury, do you know what small percentage of grape and SA cases even get to any type of jury? And for that jury to look at all the evidence and then find him liable, nobody gets to that point. She's one of the very few.
This is just a hypothetical. What happens if there's evidence that comes out in the future that shows E. Jean Carroll conspiring to bring this forward?
Well, it doesn't matter if it's conspiring to bring it forward. The only thing I care about is, did it happen or did it not?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Conspiring to bring it forward, and it
like
really
that she lied.
For that.
Well, then Trump would be able to sue her.
Okay, but what I'm saying is
just like she sued him.
That's perfectly logical that possibly could happen, and I'm not just saying that. I'm not just saying that because I want Trump to be innocent. I'm saying that there's some serious things with E. Jean Carroll that everybody sees. I mean,
no, there's not. No,
you're doing it again.
See, you keep saying that it's not about Donald Trump.
We're giving you the benefit of the doubt. I'm explaining to you how you are disparaging the victim of a crime who had a jury find him liable. It's not, you can't dispute that fact. No, and you are still continuing to disparage this woman.
Okay. All right. Look,
just think about your daughters. Honestly, drop your own thoughts. Think about your daughters. Just put your daughters in a position where the person who abused them literally was on tape bragging about doing exactly what they did to them. Exactly. And this person has at least 25 allegations of him doing that exact same thing. And now imagine sitting there with your daughter in court and hearing people smear your daughter and say, oh, well, she tweeted that she liked The Apprentice. I'm just saying, you say that this isn't about Trump, but like, you do have to remove yourself from your own opinions to get clarity on this. You do. And then when you look at the evidence and you try and personify it with somebody that you would not do this if this was somebody that you knew and loved. In order for you to criticize E. Jean Carroll, you have to assume that what she's doing is lying to hurt Donald Trump. And that's a pretty wild step to take when you didn't even really know the facts of this case.
I know the basic facts of the case.
You didn't.
Well, let me defend Drew. Let me just say something in support of Drew, because I do want to say, like, Drew is not an anomaly, right? Like, he's not like Drew's out here hurting people. Like, this is indoctrinated into us, like, it as the patriarchy is, like, right? Like, and I was reading a very fascinating Harvard study, that it's a psychological study that basically said they would show men pictures of women they didn't know, and they had them all hooked up to an MRI machine, and the part of their brain that lights up says object, thing. So when they're looking at pictures of women they've never met before and have no relation to, they don't register as human beings. They register as objects. And when they showed them pictures of familial relations, mothers, cousins, sisters, then the part of the brain lights up that says, oh, that's me. I recognize myself in that person, in the humanity in another person. And that's why we keep saying, like, please pretend it's your daughter, because not because there's something wrong with you, that like men, we're all indoctrinated. We're all indoctrinated. Like this is what society has done to us. It's not just you. Like studies show that if men are not familially related or intimately acquainted with a woman, they do not see her as a fellow human. They see her as an object. So that's why we're trying to get you to imagine it's your daughter.
Do you watch Corn?
Occasionally.
Yeah, sometimes.
We feel horrible about it.
Is that objectification of women?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So he objectifies women.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is your point?
I just want to make
that's what she was saying.
I literally said it is objectification. Yeah, like, and part of my healing, I've been in intense therapy for the last 5 years. I was indoctrinated into the patriarchy. Like I was raised as an athlete, like who did not feel, like there was no feelings in my family. They were beaten out of you. So like I understand like how you get to that place where you're desensitized. I was for so long. Like I've been in therapy to like deconstruct that. And part of that is now like the corn I used to watch disgusts me because I'm starting to realize, like, how do I know there's like enthusiastic consent here or like sexploitation? Like the powerful thing about sex work for women is we own our own means of production. So I actually think like ethical corn is probably supporting people on what's that site that everyone's
OF.
OF, yeah, where like people own their own means of production. Women are in charge of their bodies and aren't being leveraged in some way by production companies or whatever. I think there's an ethical way to watch corn. And because I've been in therapy, because I'm changing and like realizing what type of person I be, like these are thoughts I never had before. Like I'm someone who, let's just put it this way. In my early 20s, I was backstage at the AVN Awards, like with Flavor Flav. And then now I'm like, what the was I thinking? You know what I mean? It's just, we're all on a journey to like deconstruct and think about like what's right.
So let me see if I could just give you a different picture of what this is all about. So we're talking about individual cases, right? We're talking about the E. Jean Carroll. That was straight. I knew I was walking into it. It's fine. And then, the civil fraud, and then we have the 91 indictments and everything else. Now, and all the different people that have come forward since he just walked down that escalator. Now, from somebody that...
You don't walk down an escalator.
Well, see, that's what you guys do. It's so freaking annoying that you guys do that.
I'm sorry.
Come on, please. There's been a concerted effort by everybody on the left to take down Trump.
Yep.
In any which way, and there's all different ways that they're trying to do it.
Yep.
So you're trying to tell me that somebody that, and I don't identify as a Republican, by the way. I identify as
MAGA. Yeah, we get it.
How could you not expect people that have a different position as you, by not hating Trump with the veracity that you do, to think that maybe, just maybe, some of these things might be because they just want to take down Trump?
Yeah, good question. So Joe Biden, since he took office, has been attacked nonstop by Republicans. They've dug into his family finances. There's even an accusation that he abused a former staffer, and they've done more investigations into Joe Biden than they did to Donald Trump when Donald Trump was president. And guess what? We have said from the start, investigate, and we have watched the evidence. And as it turns out, there is no evidence of Joe Biden committing a crime. If you step into the presidency, if you run for office, hold on, let me answer your question. If you run for office, you sure as shit better understand that there are people out there that dislike you, who will dig into your past, and they want to find any dirt that they possibly can. The thing is, with Donald Trump, it was really fucking easy. Like, we found so much stuff, and there's none against Joe Biden. So the fact that people want to bring him down isn't relevant when the evidence is overwhelming that he committed a crime. And when we look at it, you already admitted in New York he committed fraud. We know about his charity. He's not allowed to run that anymore. That was against the law. We know a civil case found him not only liable of grape, but also of libel and slander. Like, he's losing his cases. Political opponents are investigated all the time, but Joe Biden, zero charges, zero evidence, despite being investigated far more than Trump.
Do you believe that the Joe Biden staffer gave false claims on SA?
I have no idea. The thing about the Joe Biden staffer, and I've looked into this, is that, like, one, the claims seem to change from time to time. Two, she initially dropped it, and there's no evidence that Joe Biden paid her to drop it. And now it's only coming forward again when he's president, and the Russians are paying for it. Like she defected to Russia.
At least it's smiling because she
so
knows
if she brought any sort of evidence whatsoever, or even if she brought a court case against Joe Biden, I would say they should have the court case and we should hear the evidence. And if a jury found Joe Biden liable of grape, then I would say Joe Biden is not somebody I would ever vote for. That would be the end for me. That would literally be the end. Right? I wouldn't vote for Barney Frank anymore. And Barney Frank steps down for accusations he denied about sexual harassment. And he stepped down because it was the right thing to do for our country rather than put himself ahead of the country. And I wouldn't vote for him anymore.
Remember those days where people stepped down?
Yeah.
Not even for crimes, but
when
for
did anybody step down? Except for
the idea of
Barney
crimes,
Frank.
like impropriety. People used to like step down. Those were the days when people had ethics.
Well, they just don't want the laundry all over the place, and it's easy to step down than to go get into the nitty gritty of whatever happens.
But the thing is, recognize this,
cynical,
Drew. If you're a Republican, you don't have to step down. You just deny it. Do you remember Roy Moore?
No.
Okay, well, Roy Moore was running for, was it Senate or governor? I can't remember. It might have been governor of Alabama. It was Senate or governor. I don't remember. Multiple times accused. And I believe like there was evidence that was just outside of the statute of limitations that he had abused children. Mm-hmm. And he got endorsed after everybody knew this by Donald Trump. Does it make you wonder that Russell Brand, who was a leftist like his whole life, he was a liberal his whole life. As soon as he changes
flavors, all of a sudden these people come out of the woodwork.
But hold on, that investigation into Russell Brand started 4 years ago, and he was aware of it. When did Russell Brand switch to the right?
It's been a progression since.
In the last 4 years, right?
Right.
Yeah, because you're protected on the right if you abuse women, because on the right they never believe the woman. So if you are somebody who's accused by a woman, some might be innocent, some might be guilty, it doesn't matter. Your safest place is on the right.
But you just made my argument for me. You just made my argument for me. He was completely protected as a liberal, and then all of a sudden he starts to move to the right. And now
the investigation started 4 years ago. That's when he shifted.
Right.
Because the liberals came out and they abandoned him immediately, and he's like, "Oh shit!" and he ran to the right. And you have Ben Shapiro. You have Ben Shapiro on there being like, "This is not the Russell Brand I know."
So they were protecting a rapist all these years, the liberals.
Yes, but they didn't know, and as soon as they found out, they ran.
What
does it say about your party that you guys didn't embrace him? Wait, hold on. What does it say about conservatives that they only embraced him after the investigation?
No, we're messing up the timeline. Like when it was made public, which was around like Me Too and all that, right? Like that Russell Brand was caught up in all this. He was ostracized by Hollywood, which is predominantly, part of the left. Immediately on Twitter. This is so embarrassing. We have to talk about Twitter. But yeah, on Twitter, he was immediately.
So you're saying the timeline is he was accused first.
Yes.
And then
that is my understanding. Is that?
Yeah, so I think it's the Guardian who did. The Guardian announced this investigation. Why don't you look that up?
Because I don't know if that to be true, and that would change a lot of my opinion on things.
Well, it did. So you can look this up. The Guardian started this 4 years ago, and it leaked that they were tracking these. Let's see, Jen can probably get it to me, but it leaked that they were tracking these stories and these accusations. And Russell Brand immediately was eviscerated on Twitter, and he laid low for a while, and then suddenly he resurfaced, which was weird. He had a show. Russell Brand, forever to this day, he did the greatest thing I've ever seen in a talk show. He brought on the who are those crazy church people that go and they yell at abortion clinics? What's that group called?
There's a lot of different
Westboro Baptist.
Westboro Baptist. He brought on the Westboro Baptist, and in the middle of the interview, he said, I want to introduce you to some gays," and he brought out a bunch of gay guys, and the Westboro Baptist people lost it. It was one of my favorite things. But again, he was a lot of lefties liked him. A lot of us liked him. As soon as those accusations came out, he was abandoned. He disappeared for a year, and then all of a sudden showed up alt-right, COVID conspiracies, He's working with Brett. He's out there with Brett Weinstein. He's making friends with all these conservatives who desperately want somebody in Hollywood. What does it say about your party that you hated him until after? And now you guys are running cover for him.
That's the
but
thing.
You guys are running cover for him.
What?
He's safe on the right. He had Ben. You can go watch Ben Shapiro say, "I don't believe these. This is not the Russell Brand that I know." He's known.
Where
Russell
are
Brand.
you at, Drew? Drew, where are you at on the political spectrum? Drew, where are you at on the political spectrum? Where do you identify?
I'm literally independent. Like I said, I'll give you my last vote. So,
but you defended him. Let's be clear on this. You defended him earlier.
I hated Bush with a passion. Hated him. Thought he was the worst. Thought he was the biggest criminal.
And then you voted for Obama, and then Trump came down the escalator. You saw how he was picked on. Drew, we literally hear this story. The reason I'm saying this and cutting you off is because every one of you tells the same story. I hated Bush. I voted for Obama twice. He came down the escalator, and I voted for him. I don't know if you guys all are just like living on like the same timeline, or if you all think this is a compelling story, but it's not relevant. You defended Russell Brand earlier, and now you're not.
We still didn't get into
right?
when this happened because I don't know that to be true. I don't know that these allegations happened any earlier.
Why'd you defend him?
Than 6 months ago.
Drew, don't make a claim. Don't use him as your premise in a debate. And then the second thing you say is, "Oh, actually, I didn't know any facts of this case. I'm just defending a rapist again with low information."
If I could look at new evidence, I'll change my thoughts on it. Nobody on the right or left do that. Nobody.
How do you feel about? Okay, that's good to hear, Drew. I like that. Okay, Drew, I like that. That's great to hear because many people on the far right will not change their opinions when faced with data. Well, what kind of opinions are you talking about? Because I would like to say I am very data driven. Like I am, just like Jay. I also read all the time. I probably read the New York Times every day. So like, yeah, I'm very fact-based and data-driven. Like you ask me why Trump, like, and the answer to that is like, I just encourage you read the court documents. Like federal indictments are not like Jimmy said, Billy said this. It is literally a paper trail. These are
all right. So looking at the federal court documents, you guys all automatically say that he's guilty of all these 91 charges, right? Right?
Who? Trump?
91 charges. He's guilty of them all, right?
No, we're not saying that. Pick a case. Like,
what are you saying?
No, because some charges don't always stick, right? Like we don't know. No, so I'm just saying we don't know that he's unequivocally guilty of every charge. What I'm saying
why
is,
don't you know
let me explain.
Because you haven't heard the defenses.
Let me explain. Well, I'll answer your question, Drew, because again, you're arguing with someone who has much more information on the subject than you do. So the answer is, let's pick an indictment, like read the January 6th, the federal indictment. Like that is an open and shut case. It has nothing to do with people heard. It has to do with emails. It has to do with text messages. It has to do with recordings. Like that's the facts. And any witnesses there are Republicans testifying against other Republicans. Like, okay, so it is, if you read the indictment, pretty much there's nothing to question. He's not charged with seditious conspiracy or insurrection. Like, understand that. This is about interrupting a congressional proceeding. This is about obstruction, things of that nature, things that they can easily prove. Like, and the same thing with the Mar-a-Lago docs case. Like, MAGA likes to say that, Trump, those are Trump's documents. He can take them. Trump has never been charged in the docs case with taking documents. As a matter of fact, no one's charged for taking documents. They're charged for not giving them back and the obstruction of the investigation.
The only charge on that case should be obstruction. The only charge.
And other thing, and signing.
What about lying to the FBI?
And falsifying, and lying to the FBI.
Documents.
Yeah, everything involved with obstruction and lying.
I'm talking about the documents case.
Yeah, he lied to the FBI.
He lied to the FBI
He falsified
repeatedly.
documents. He got his attorney to sign. He got his attorney to lie for him.
He falsified business documents. Yeah,
that said he had given everything back. Yeah, there's a lot of crimes that went along with the cover-up.
just like the fraud case where we're like, did he sign the documents? Did he sign the documents? Very similar in this case. These are paper trails of crimes. It's not like, oh, let's debate this. And you were asking about, you haven't heard Trump's defense. Now, if you read the court document and the documents that are being filed, Jack Smith himself is very eager for Trump to make a defense. Trump has not submitted any discovery or made a defense. Jack Smith is repeatedly filing paperwork saying, this guy has no defense, because Trump's defense, Drew, Trump's defense is delay. Trump's defense, and he's doing it well. Trump is defending himself well. Like, all systems are a go with Trump's defense, which is make it to the presidency, to the election and get elected and pardon himself. And that is going well. But that is his only defense that has been filed in any court documents, which is delays.
Okay, so just hear me out on this. I understand. I see what you're saying, and I see the picture that you're painting. But all right, so let's say you're Donald Trump and you're trying to be the next president of the United States. Would it look better optically? Let's say you have all the evidence to counter whatever the evidence they have against them. Let's just say it, right? Would it still be better to be running for president at a desk on a trial, or wait for, or have it delayed until after the election? What would the optics look better if you're sitting as a defendant in a felony, or not having that and having a smooth non-trial presidential run prior to? You follow what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying?
No, I'm a little confused. Yeah, I am a little confused.
I messed up my wording there. So basically, I think it's a smart move for the candidate Trump to be trying to delay all these cases, because optically, if you're sitting on trial for felonies while you're running for president, isn't really a good look for a candidate, right?
Oh, it's his best strategy, 100%. And what we've seen from exit polls from the primaries is that about 30 to 40%, like high 20s to 40% of the electorate in these primaries are saying, if he is convicted, and these are I'm talking about Republican primary exit polls, I will not vote for him. So it is in Trump's absolute best interest to delay.
No, that's when you guys lose me, because the exit poll wasn't that. The exit poll was, would you vote for a felon? It was the question.
Oh no, that's not correct.
Listen, I got to tell you, Drew. Drew, this is Felice is the last person you want to argue with about this. Like, Felice studies exit polls. We cover it every day. The exit polls were very specific about Donald Trump because, and for a couple of reasons. One, the GOP needs to know the answer to that question. They need to know how many voters they're up against and how many they have to replace. The GOP, Donald Trump's own team, they need to know if people would still vote for him if he was a convicted felon, because that's the real point. Let's pretend Donald Trump had no charges against him at all, and you just asked the general public if somebody was running for president and they had been convicted of a felony just 2 months before the election, would you still vote for them? And if the felony was like that they took classified documents and refused to give them back and they lied and they obstructed, I think prior to Donald Trump being charged with that, every one of us would have been like, hell no, I would never vote for that guy. That's so what the Republicans have to find out is how many people are still loyal to Trump and still loyal Republicans, and how many people they've lost. These exit polls are conducted remember, these are GOP primaries. So these are GOP primary voters. Some of the exit poll is done by GOP pollsters. This is information everybody wants. But that was the question. It's specific about Trump for a reason.
See,
Biden was convicted of a felony, no one would vote for him. Like, Trump is a unique person who people will vote for, despite the fact he most likely is a criminal.
I don't know if he's
is a criminal. Yeah, is a criminal at this point. But you know what I'm saying. Like, in terms of these cases that are waiting to be tried, like, that's why they're asking. It's very important. And I make the opposite argument. Like, once I started seeing these Republican exit polls, which are primarily, let's say, Republican and independents like yourself, what those polls are saying and what people are telling us is it's very important to them whether or not he is going to be convicted. So I think, again, the electorate, us, the voters, are being disenfranchised by not allowing us to know whether or not this man is going to be convicted before casting our votes.
I guess so. But the point is this. I just can't imagine the sheer chances of so many allegations, so many criminal issues, so many things happening to somebody that wasn't Donald Trump, that wasn't running for presidency. Let me ask you a question. If his first criminal charge was
Joe Biden. Wait,
listen,
hold on.
listen, you know
Joe
what?
Biden
This is too
is
much
being
for me.
Wait,
This is
Joe
too much. Can I
Biden.
finish my
It's
fucking
happening right now. How can you not fathom this? It's
Can I finish my
happening
thought?
right fucking now.
It's-
Joe
whenever I
Biden
try
is
to get a
being
good thought, you
accused
gotta
of
cut me off.
all sorts of crimes,
I
and
don't
there's
have
no
any good thoughts.
evidence.
I need to
And the
say them
difference
when they
between
come
these
out.
two is that every one of these indictments against Donald Trump was seen first by a grand jury
I can't
of
pay
his
attention to you because
peers.
I'm gonna lose my thought.
They've already went through one step. Joe Biden can't even get to a jury. Joe Biden can't even get to an impeachment. There's so little evidence, but he's being investigated even more than Donald Trump. So how the fuck can you sit here in this United States? We live in the same country, dog. How can you say, I can't imagine this when it's happening right now to both Joe Biden and Donald Trump? But one of them seems to have proof and it keeps going through grand juries, and the other one keeps turning out to just be a bunch of lies by people who are desperate to prove that Donald Trump is innocent. Like, what you don't live in reality. You live in MAGAville.
This is the question. This is what I was going to say. Okay, after all of that rant, that was a nice rant. I liked it. You made a good
You
point.
acknowledge that Joe
That was
Biden's
a
being
good rant.
investigated?
But what I'm saying is, I'm not getting off my topic. You're not knocking me off the line.
Yeah, heaven forbid we do that.
Thank you. So, if Trump,
Plow on ahead, Drew. Plow on ahead. Don't let
Trump got
us
his
stop
first-
you.
when Trump got his first felony indictments, right?
Yeah.
And he said, "Listen, you know what? This is too much. I'm not dealing with all this shit. You know what? I'm not going to run anymore. And you know, will you make that a condition of dropping the charges?" And I guarantee that any one of them would have said yes. And guess what? None of the other indictments would have came. And
He
this
wasn't
is me
offered that.
assuming that
He's never been
I'm
offered.
positive of it.
He hasn't been offered.
What's that?
Nobody offered to drop the charges.
I assure you that privately that was offered. I assure you, and they just
Okay, yeah. So in your mind, despite that there's no evidence that anybody offered him that in your mind, but even if he did, you know what Trump's actual best chance is? His actual best chance is to win the presidency. His actual best chance is that the elections change the makeup of Georgia. So what he's trying to do, he's trying to get Fonnie Willis thrown off the case. He's trying to change the makeup of Georgia so that case will be dropped, because of all the other cases, he's just likely, because of the makeup of the Supreme Court and who he'll bring in as AG, he'll likely just be able to pardon himself for everything else. But in Georgia, because it's a state crime, the president is not capable of pardoning himself. So what Donald Trump needs to do to make this go away is win. That's his only option. That's his only option, which is why when you listen to a campaign speech, and I'll challenge you this next time, Drew, I will challenge you, get a piece of paper out and listen to a campaign speech by Donald Trump once every day and write down every specific policy that he advocates for. You'll be surprised how little is on your paper. He's just going to talk about how unfair everything is and how bad Joe Biden is and how everything is so slighted against Republicans and how he's doing this for you. But he's not actually running for president. He's not advocating on fixing our country. He's being a whiny little bitch. And you guys are eating it up. And I don't get it.
So you
Like, you're
pivoted, so I'm
smarter
allowed to
than this,
pivot now,
Drew.
too.
You're smarter than this.
You pivoted, so I'm allowed to pivot now too.
Yeah,
You
go
guys
ahead.
also you complained about the tariffs that he put on. How come Biden didn't get rid of the tariffs?
Biden got rid of some of the tariffs.
Very little, and the rest he has on a 4-year watch. So
Oh,
these-
you want to know, like, why? That's a great question.
so
Let me just
awful.
tell you, who do you guys think Biden is? They're still confused. I'm here to tell you, Biden is a Republican. I don't know why we are still wondering who Joe Biden is. Why is Joe Biden? Why are Joe Biden and Mitch McConnell's families always hang? Why are they best friends? Because Joe Biden is a neo-lib at best, a neocon most likely, and they're all hanging out together there in the middle. Like, this man
so now we
this
can-
man
now
is
we can have some
pro-life, but
common
says
ground with that
my
life.
personal beliefs aren't. I'm not going to legislate against women because I have personal beliefs. He is. You guys should not have. He is a Republican. For
want to
all
hear the
intents
reason
and
why
purposes.
I
He's
I'm actually
a self-proclaimed Zionist.
Do you want to know the reason why I'm endorsing Trump? And this is the only reason. Every single thing that you mention, it hurts me to say it because the argument. So I know the guy's a narcissist. I know he's a malignant narcissist. I know he's probably a sociopath, maybe even a psychopath. Okay, all right. I'll even concede to that. Okay, but listen to this. This is how our political system works today. All right, we have special interests. Okay, we have big pharma, big oil, all these multinational banks, right? And they're the donors to our political people, right?
Including Trump.
Now, because he's in financial trouble, but prior to that, he wasn't.
No. Donald Trump has always taken massive amounts of corporate money.
Yeah, but his policies didn't. Aside from the corporate tax, like the wall didn't do anything to help any political interests.
Mostly because he didn't build it. That would be the first reason is because he got 17 miles done. That's why He didn't build the wall.
Corporations have a vested interest in illegal immigration. It's a slave labor workforce that they've long. So I mean, if you're asking, are the Republicans ever going to close this country? You're
not understanding. So if he ran on securing the border, building wall for the border, doing everything he can to try to not have illegals come in. Yeah. How is that in line with multinational corporations?
I'm going to tell you something. Maybe
you don't understand that
this,
Republicans' election platforms are different than what happens once they get elected. How many times is the far right going to be defrauded by Republicans running for president, promising them all these weird bigoted things?
Stop believing what they say.
And then it never happens, and people are like, "What's going on?"
You didn't answer my question.
We were supposed to kick all the illegals out for like 40 years now, and it's never happened.
I'll answer your question. Here's what happens in politics. And we know because we've caught some of these on hot mics. You go out and you campaign about a lot of stuff. And then behind closed doors, when nobody's listening, you tell your donors, don't worry about that. That's just a campaign thing. Like Donald Trump didn't build a wall. The border crisis started under Donald Trump. Donald Trump, on his way out of office, signed an executive order saying, hey, all these Venezuelans that came to the border, don't deport them. They can stay. Right? Donald Trump was not tough on the border. He never was. He shut it down because of COVID, which likely would have happened with any president. It was a health emergency. Every country around the world was concerned about people coming into their country with COVID. That would have happened virtually anywhere. But the one problem you have, Drew, is you believe what Donald Trump says and you ignore what he does. The reality of what Donald Trump says versus what he does is stark. It is very transparent.
Would he continue to build the wall?
He doesn't care. Like, you're telling me, you said he might be a malignant narcissist. He might be a sociopath. He might even be.
And so is almost everything.
Hold on, let me finish, Drew, please. You said he might even be a psychopath. I'm going to point to a man who has no lifelong friends. You can't point to me to a lifelong friend. He has gone through every marriage he abandoned. Hold on, I'm not done. Drew, look, you're gonna have to be Drew. You're gonna have to be patient for this one because this is gonna be a little wordy. So
grandstand, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I am a little bit. That's fine.
I know.
This is a man who has no lifelong friends. The history of his businesses, when you got people like, oh, he filed bankruptcy. That's smart. Yeah, it's smart. But on the other side of those bankruptcies, you had everyday mom and pop construction workers that got stiffed, people that lost their homes, people that lost their businesses. And Donald Trump, despite having very, very fat pockets, didn't want to take a risk. So he left average Americans hanging 20, 30, 40, 50 times. Then he ran for president and he said, I'm going to finance this myself. And he didn't. He took everybody else's money. And now he's taking everybody else's money to pay for his legal bills. I haven't seen his wife. Everybody that worked for him, Bill Barr, everybody who worked for him, who stood up to him and said, hey, no, we can't overthrow the government. He has gotten rid of them. And you're saying that this person who you agree might be a sociopath, might be a narcissist, might be a psychopath. You're saying, I'm going to vote for him because I like his rhetoric, not his record, his rhetoric. Again, Drew, You're
That's not why.
smarter than this.
That's not why. I'll tell you why.
You already did.
And it's going to sound insane to you.
You already told us why you're voting for him, because you said it was because.
I'm going to
he came
guess
down the
because you
escalator.
don't want to pay taxes and you have a deep
that's not the
mistrust of women.
No, that's not
Who
the case.
hurt you, Drew?
The disdain that the left has for Trump and the right, both sides, right? They're revealing so many things that are coming out. That's not Trump's doing. It's not his doing. It's their own doing. The adversaries of Trump are revealing truths about how corrupt our system is to the core, and how there is a deep state, and how if you're a political opponent of
No,
the deep
Drew,
state,
don't go. You're too far out from shore. Come back.
Who's the deep state?
here we go. The non-elected people that have been in Washington for the last 30
The
years.
civil service.
Like who?
Here we go again. Here we go. I don't have a specific name. So
I do. Do you want me to give them to you?
Oh, I told you who it is. It's the civil service. We could stop non-elected government officials. Look, we don't.
Thank you. Thank
Like
you.
maybe like Leonard Leo?
Name 13 of
Maybe?
them. Name 13
Like maybe
of them.
Leonard Leo?
Your point is pointless.
These are the people that are paying
Oh, not
Donald
the
Trump's
real
legal
deep
bills right
state.
now, Drew. These are the people that are paying all
actual
of Donald
one.
Trump's bills. And you're saying, like, he exposed this and he's part of it, so I'm going to vote for him. And I also think he might be a terrible human. He's part of the deep state. He's a narcissist, a
part of the deep state.
sociopath, and
He's part of
possibly
the
a
deep state,
psychopath. He's also a criminal. He's credibly held liable for grape, which you've admitted to. And now the end of this is going to be deep state.
I
He
wish it
is
wasn't
the
just
deep
about
state.
winning for you, because you
He
pride
is the
yourself on
deep
being
state.
a great debater. And I wish you were a little bit more genuine. It would really.
One might even say a master debater.
That's right.
A masturbator.
This is genuine.
I guess we already figured that out too, because he watches corn.
This is
I would love
genuine.
to see-
Donald
I would love to
Trump
see
is
your
part. Donald
corn
Trump is
algorithm.
part of the deep state.
Are you willing to show your corn algorithm? Just
Well,
scroll
I think
through
we
the corn?
should check all three of our hard drives. Yes, Drew. I think
Listen.
that could be an
Well, I mean,
exercise.
you guys basically said that I was pro grapists, which is
No, you just
We did not
defend them.
say that. You took the
Basically, you did.
position.
No, you just keep defending them. That's all we were saying. Anyways, the point is Donald Trump is everything that you hate. He is deep state. He is corporate money. He lies. And you're like, I'm going to vote for him because all of these people in
He's the monkey
Washington
wrench
are
in the
exactly like him. The only difference is he also is a criminal on the side. Like he also runs his business as a
he's the
criminal
monkey
enterprise.
wrench in this corrupt.
No, he's not.
system
He's
that
the
we have.
grease on the wheels,
And
my
he doesn't
friend.
even
He's
want
the
to-
You guys are
WD-40
getting
of the deep
defrauded.
state.
Trump's good at what he does because he's literally running a cult and defrauding.
I'm telling you,
them.
he doesn't intend to do
It's
these things. I'm
crazy.
telling you that
This is wild.
it's not his. It's not that he's this mastermind. I'm
No,
telling
he's
you
very
that
stupid.
because
I
there's
agree.
such disdain
no,
for the
we don't
guy,
think he's
and it's
smart.
coming out in the open about how.
Listen,
No, let me tell Drew. Let me tell you something very simple. Let me tell you something
the way
about.
that,
Listen, you've already
social
answered your own
media
problem. You said that
varies
he's
stories.
possibly. What you said was that he's a cluster B, right? Like you named a bunch of
Total cluster
disordered
B.
brain. Let me. Yeah,
Across
you
the
named.
line.
Okay, so you know what a cluster B is. Welcome.
Yes, I
you know
do.
the DSM. Listen, I'm
Yes.
very into Freud psychology. And if you were a cluster B, if you knew anything about them, you would know that the only thing that matters in cluster B world is leverage, right? Trump, you don't have to be smart to
And you could never be wrong.
understand
RTC,
leverage.
RTP,
Well,
you
yes,
could
that's
never be
different.
wrong,
That's
RTP.
narcissism. That's another thing, Drew.
That's
Just
like
pay
cluster B.
attention.
That's
Drew,
cluster B.
Drew, listen to me. Yes,
ahead.
but that's different. Listen to me. It does not require intelligence to just understand leverage. The only language cluster B speak is leverage. He's leveraging people. He is literally leveraging you
Listening.
right now while you sit here and defend him.
Okay,
You're the mark, dude. You're the mark.
I'm the mark.
Yeah, no, you're the mark. That's the thing.
Okay.
Like, you guys are all being defrauded by this guy. And by the way, I at least 3 times on this on this live, I've admitted that I was wrong about things. You can accuse me
hit
of
a nerve.
anything you want, but the truth is, like, you know what I don't
Touch the
argue?
nerve.
You know what I don't argue is things I don't know, and you seem to argue exclusively things you don't know. Which is useful with MAGA because
more about the inner workings of it than you did, and you admitted to that
the inner workings of what?
of the mortgage industry.
Yeah, because we weren't talking about the mortgage industry.
Just,
I wasn't debating the
What?
mortgage industry.
Here
That's
we
what I
go.
said. Yeah.
Plus the B.
So wait, you're bringing up another time where I admitted that you knew more than me?
What?
That's another time I was wrong? Thank you for that. I appreciate you proving my point right there.
Wow.
You just said I can't admit that I'm wrong, and then brought up an
how
example of
difficult it is
me
for a
admitting I
cluster
was
B
wrong.
to acknowledge that they're a cluster B.
I would like everyone to tap the screen, please.
It's like
Thank
impossible
you.
for a cluster B to actually acknowledge in themselves. Unless,
No, dude, look,
people hurt
Yeah,
them
that's
in
what
real
we're
life.
saying. We are people who admit we're wrong all the time. So you can take that for whatever you want.
I was a Republican,
I've been
Drew.
watching you guys for a long time. I don't think I've ever heard
Who's a fan?
RTP admit that he was wrong more than a half a second before he pivoted to make himself right. Come on.
Yeah, I don't. Well, generally speaking, I'm not going to get in a debate where I don't know the
She's
facts.
laughing because she knows I'm right. And again,
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing.
To fight with anybody. Have I been?
No,
fighting
I'm
with you?
actually what I was laughing at is I'm thinking like this reminds me a lot when I was a second grade teacher. You remind me of two of my students who I can't get to be
From second
quiet
grade.
so I could get to the math lesson. That's what I was actually thinking. I like this. You're a spirited guy, Drew. Love New Yorker. Love to argue. So I am enjoying this.
It really is. The truth is, the only reason why I'm doing this because I do enjoy arguing. that's really all it is.
As do we. Like we were probably all silenced as children, and now we're desperate for people to listen. Like, there's probably a lot of psychological reasons the three of us are up here, Drew.
And I was invited in.
That's true. Jen did invite him. That's true.
Well, you'll have to come back and argue with us more.
Yeah,
Come back.
as things progress.
Go vote for RFK.
We can
Let's
change
find a
it.
middle
Okay?
ground.
We can change Drew.
Yeah,
Drew,
I
we're
would
gonna fix you.
love
We're
to.
gonna fix you.
Okay, vote for RFK and we'll be good. Just don't vote for that psychopath.
I would have voted for Ron Paul too.
Oh my gosh! What?
Hey,
Well,
look, I voted
know.
for Gary
Ron
Johnson in
Paul might be worse
2016,
than
so I wasn't that far away from
Think
that.
about if Ron Paul actually got into power, what would this world look like? Like we don't even know.
Nothing. Congress just wouldn't listen to him. He'd be the least effective president ever.
It'd be
He'd just
like that
veto
weird
everything.
libertarian experiment in New Hampshire.
Even though he was a kooky guy, he had some points that were legitimate, but they just delegitimized it by making him
Why am I
showing
not
the
surprised
opposite.
that Drew's a Ron Paul guy? Do you know what I mean?
More of a Rand Paul guy. I like the fact that Rand
God.
Paul is actually
Yeah, Ron
The
Paul is
optometrist?
Rand
The
Paul is
runaway
Ron Paul,
optometrist?
except for like the only thing Rand Paul is extreme on is like anti-science stuff. He's like a doctor that doesn't believe in
Yeah,
science.
he's a
It's
doctor
incredible.
that denies science. Like we need to be very
he's not
concerned.
denying science. He's trying to get to the bottom of
Brother, he lost his medical license because of the way that he views science. Like, he denies science consistently, and
I don't want to talk about that subject because apparently that's what gets people mad.
that's true. But like,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a.
I'd take Ron Paul over Rand. How much time? I probably got to read
Me
a bunch
too,
of comments.
for
We got
sure.
10
I
minutes
take
left.
Ron over Rand.
Drew, come
Yeah, go
back
ahead. You
sometime.
wanna talk-
Yeah, we're almost out of time, so come back sometime.
Come
I
back
enjoyed
and
it.
see us.
See you, buddy.
Take care.
That was enjoyable. I will say this. Felice did ask me to try and debate as much as I could today, and I came through. I stretched that out as long as I could.
You
Felice.
did. You
And
did a
I'll
good
do it for a
job.
couple more hours if we need to. We have
You would talk to yourself in a room with white walls alone.
Yeah, I do that. I have so many comments to read here. Give me a second.
Guys, keep tapping the screen. Let's see if we can get to 300K.
All right.
I think we fixed him. I'm feeling good about that.
yeah.
I think Drew, go out and preach the gospel that you have just learned.
Okay, I read this one earlier, but I know you're going to love this. How do you get Pikachu on the bus?
Oh my god. I
Pokemon.
never get Pokemon. Oh, I get it. That's
Yes.
really funny. Gotta catch
Courtney.
'em. I was addicted to that app, that Pokemon app.
Pokemon Go?
I was one of those people like wandering around the streets, not looking up. Like,
Yeah.
yes. That was
I used to, when that came out, there was this park by my house that I used to go fishing, like in
go catch
Arizona.
Pokemon.
No, in Arizona they have all like these little community parks with ponds, and they'll stock them with like trout and bass and catfish. So in the evenings I would go fish, and it was always just me. And then that came out, and it was like wall to wall
everyone.
people. Everybody was out there,
You got to get because by the water is where the water
Yeah.
Pokemon are. Yeah,
and nobody gave a shit about my. Like I'd catch a fish, nobody would even pay attention. They're just like, It was cool. Christina says, why does timing matter when it comes to a victim accusing a rapist? This always bothers me about this argument from the right. Yes, the timing is right because who wants a rapist as POTUS? Thank you. Exactly. Like, and E. Jean Carroll has said that, right? A lot of times these women never say a word and then they feel obligated. Like they come forward because they feel obligated to say these things about somebody who's going to lead the country.
Oh, and yeah, no, there's so many different reasons, but yes, absolutely. Or it could be the only time you can get someone to care. Like when you're trying to accuse a rich, powerful person of something, like maybe that's the only time anyone will even listen to you. Like you've got to get while the getting's good.
This is from Amber, who's E. Jean Carroll's niece. Just wanted to say, and this, I think she told me this before, but I forgot. The number one reason she didn't come forward until 2016, there were many, is because of her parents. She didn't want them to know.
Oh, yes, she did tell us this.
Her last parent passed in 2016.
Thank you. There you have it. And that's the other thing.
It's fucking brutal.
It's amazing what we'll protect our parents from when our lives are mostly their fault in the first place.
From Sue, love you guys. Keep it up. Okay, some dad jokes. What type of bear is toothless?
Oh, God. I don't know.
A gummy bear.
Gummy bear. That's a good one.
Bears.
I love gummies.
What do you call a song about a tortilla?
Oh,
A rap.
A rap. That's a good one. Okay, that's a good one.
How do you make 7 even?
I don't know.
Take away the S.
Oh my God, that is so obvious. I feel stupid.
Yeah, that's the hard part with dad jokes. Like you almost have to like.
We made it to
simplify
300K.
your
Thank
brain.
you so much, guys.
Stacy said, "You two are the best part of my mornings. Thank you for all you do. P.S. Fuck David and fuck the patriarchy."
Amen. Everyone watch Poor Things. Like you want to see an indictment of the patriarchy and capitalism? Watch Emma Stone in the performance of a lifetime in Poor Things.
DL sent a donation. Said, "Sending Felice a hug. Love y'all."
Thank you so much.
And Teresa said, "For gummies, tincture, and flowers." And I think she's just talking about baking.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We are avid pastry chefs.
I love baking. I bake every night. Every single night I bake. And I'm pretty sure that Felice will be baking momentarily, I'd imagine.
No, I think I am going to check out, just go on a holiday.
Is there anything we want to cover in the last... Are there any topics we wanted to cover in the last couple minutes that you
hear,
really wanted to get to?
well, yeah, let me see. Did you hear Scarlett Johansson's Saturday Night Live thing?
Oh my God.
Pretending to be Katie Britt.
Yeah.
It's so
I only
funny.
saw it in clips. I didn't see the whole thing.
Oh, wait, I got to play one thing. I do have something I need to play. This is unrelated to that, and I think maybe everyone's seen that. We could play that after, but I have to say, I have to make an announcement. Mike, the pillow enthusiast, has finally found the evidence, everyone. I don't know if you know what's going on with poor Mike Lindell, but Mike Lindell will be taking some evidence to the Supreme Court today in regard to, get this, Kerry Lake being the rightful governor of Arizona. Yes, that's right.
What's he bringing? What's he bringing?
Oh, he won't tell anyone, Jay. It's a surprise. Listen.
50% chance it's just a nameplate that says Governor Lake, and he's like, there wouldn't be a nameplate saying Governor Lake.
What's interesting is, Carrie Lake is in the midst, now that cinema's out, Carrie Lake is in the midst of a whole pivot. She's trying to become a neocon right now. She's taking money from them. Yeah. She's taking money from the swamp, she's meeting with the establishment Republicans, the 3 Johns in the Senate. She is doing everything she can to distance herself from this lawsuit. And here comes Mike Lindell, like, I have the evidence and I'm dropping it off at the Supreme Court. Like, I don't know, like, what? Like, they have a Dropbox.
They're against those, police. They're against Dropbox.
We got a minute or two. Let's give us we got a minute or two here before the break. I'm gonna hold you. What's going to happen? You're going to go to the Supreme Court this week?
Yeah, this is big, everybody. This is what we've been waiting for. Lawyers gave me this to read there this morning. It's a petition for a writ of certiorari, and this was the case that we started in Arizona for injunctions against the machines across the country. We started with Arizona.
Injunctions against the machines. Notice he cannot mention Smartmatic or Dominion because this man is losing his company. But Mike is in a battle against the machines. You know what it's very Terminator.
Arizona for injunctions against the machines across the country. We started with Arizona. It was Mark Fincham and Kerry Lake were the plaintiffs. It's very similar to the Curlin case in Georgia that just went to trial in January. But ours was dismissed on standing and said the claims were speculative. Now that was appealed to the Ninth Circuit in Arizona and it was affirmed. The lawyers were sanctioning, including Alan Dershowitz, which I had hired for this case.
Yeah, Alan Dershowitz was sanctioned $12,000 for bringing a case that had no merit and no evidence. Just to be clear, this lawsuit, I watched the entire thing play out in Arizona federal court. And the judge was so nice. He was like, now is the time where you show us your evidence.
I do have a question.
There was no evidence. And yes, Alan Dershowitz, Harvard. That's why I say when Alan Dershowitz said we need to drop the impeachment bullshit against Biden, like Alan Dershowitz goes to the mat, was fined for the illegitimacy of this case for Trump, for Mike Lindell, and still is like, yeah, the impeachment stuff has to stop against Mayorkas and against Biden. Like, it's BS. Like,
isn't a writ of certiorari, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't that saying like they're asking the Supreme Court to review the decision from this case, right?
Yeah.
And the decision of this case was that it was dismissed for lack of standing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he said, "Now,
so what are they going to?
Well, that's what he's about to tell you."
Okay, cool.
This isn't just some little tinfoil hat case. This is huge.
He said, "This isn't a tinfoil hat case," because that's what you're thinking, Jay. You're thinking he doesn't have any evidence.
Exactly what I was thinking. He's got me there.
That case, this is huge. And by law, the law allows us now to bring additional evidence because it was dismissed on standing. So this new evidence is the most explosive evidence ever.
This is it, guys.
In the last 2 months, we got this, everybody. The lawyers are excited. The whole world's going to watch us this coming Friday on the steps of the Supreme Court, 3 in the afternoon. We're going to hand deliver this to the world, Steve. It's going to be the biggest thing ever. And we are going to save this country.
That's right.
It's going to be the biggest thing ever.
Friday, put it in your calendars. Friday at 3 p.m., I assume Eastern, Mike Lindell will be telling the Supreme Court what's up.
And just a reminder that recently, when Michael Lindell was doing his symposiums, which is a word he definitely learned a week before he did a symposium.
His cyber symposium?
Yeah, he offered $5 million for anybody who could prove the election was not stolen. A Republican, MAGA, proved that it wasn't stolen, and then Mike Lindell refused to pay that guy, saying that he was wrong. And it has now been ruled in court that Mike Lindell has to pay this man $5 million for proving the election wasn't stolen. But Mike's doing good. He's doing
and Chris rightfully pointed out that right after he delivers this writ of cert to the Supreme Court, the rapture will be happening. Right? and we will all the Christians will be immediately raptured after that.
We are so fucked, Felice. We are so fucked on this.
Oh, we'll be left behind to hang out.
Yeah. All right, that's 1:00. We can save. Let's save.
We can we'll do the
Scarlett
Nancy
Johansson
Mace
for tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, and Scarlett. We'll save the good stuff.
Okay.
Thank you guys for all the support. You guys don't understand. I had a really bad day yesterday, and this has completely cheered me up. So I appreciate you guys more than you will ever know.
Just a reminder: for many of you feel like the time change. We changed our time. Felice and I live in Arizona. We don't have daylight savings. So we always go at 9:30 Arizona time. It just so happens that 9:30 Arizona time is now also 9:30 Pacific time. So just adjust accordingly. We now go live 9:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday. So,
and now that your states are not dependent so much on agriculture or, like hand labor agriculture, you guys should all renounce daylight savings as well. Mexico just did. Arizona had the right idea. We've resisted it. I just read a medical study about how unhealthy daylight savings is for your body. So yes, you guys are suffering and we are fine.
And many have accused us of being selfish by not changing to adapt to your schedule. And to those who have made that accusation, you're correct. We are selfish, and that's exactly what we're
Jay
doing.
could never start a live at 8:30 a.m. Like, he barely at like 9 o'clock is like coming to life. Like, he can't do it.
That's about when the Adderall kicks in. Yeah, about then. I wake up every morning at 6:30. I want to be clear.
No,
but,
that's not true. He's
but
just
then it's
grumpy.
mostly trying to, in preparation to be as educated or close to educated as Felice on these topics. That's my morning is because I have ADHD
It's school
and
time.
I procrastinate.
School is in session.
Yeah, I can only do things at the last minute with ADHD. So, like, I have to just wake up early and do it. If Felice sends it to me the night before, and I try and read it, and then my brain's like, nah, fuck this. You got to go outside and trim your tree or something. And I do that. And then
That's what I was going to say about that guy that I was like, he doesn't want me to direct traffic to his profile. It's about ADHD. It's like, he's talking about, like, this is a real genius. Like, not like us pretending, like an actual one. And he's talking about how, like, ADHD, especially for individuals that have suffered trauma, is about self-soothing. It's outwardly soothing because we never learn to inwardly soothe. And we never learn to self-soothe. So ADHD is just hyperactivity or hyper-focus around just trying to soothe. And that's why we're procrastinating, because the priority is to self-soothe, because we're always like in fight or flight or panicking. And I was like, oh, thank you for explaining to me what's been wrong with me my entire life.
Yeah. And that's basically what every morning is like for Felice and I. We talk, we discuss what we're going to go over, and then we're like, hey, is today the last day on Earth? And we're like, I don't know. We know it feels like everything's blowing up, but let's just go and pretend it's okay, and that's what we do. And so I also want to point this out. I made some jokes earlier. Felice corrected my jokes. When Felice and I talk about awful things, the way that we generally get through that is by laughing about it. So
I think trauma victims have like deep, dark humor, and like that's how we survive.
But I wanted to apologize to anybody who felt I wasn't taking it seriously.
Oh, no.
That was an attempt to, well, I know you didn't, but other people, that was just my attempt to lighten things up for Felice, because that's what I do. When people are sad, I try and make them smile. So I apologize if anybody was offended by that. My
he was trying to keep me from crying.
Yeah,
that's what he was doing. It was very kind.
All right, that's it for us today at 9:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday, right here. We'll be back tomorrow. If you want to invite to the Discord, which is poppin', shoot Jen or myself a message. There's a high likelihood I won't respond, but Jen will. You can catch our replays on YouTube. I am looking for a new debate partner, somebody that not mod, but somebody I could debate. If you have any suggestions, DM those to me. If you are somebody who wants to be the debater, shoot me. Shoot me a message. I will give you all the same leeway that we gave others. We'll make sure it's fair, where I have no control over the mute button. We will have a moderator who gets to tell me to shut up so I don't talk over. If you have anybody in mind, let me know on that. And as always, and forever going forward, fuck David and fuck Gorilla. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning.
Bye, guys.